And the other is doesn't yeah, exactly. And then
and that's why I said that all pieces of all the council. So I really knew that. So if otherwise we look at it and think about it.
That's I really so I still have to go and check for the Friday. I don't know story. It's really so it's a very silly little thing. No, I mean, actually, and we're
Sure you did.
I actually the train to
So it's only cracks. You can fill the cracks.
Any aspect of it. I saw TJ today, and my business liaison visit, and he reminded me, he said, you know, Paul belongs to Battleground. I said, yes, I know, Paul told me. So the three of you are going to play and find a fourth. That's fun, right? Yeah.
So we're doing a resolution for our partnership with TV.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, we are.
How to step forward.
Yes, it is. It is.
Let's see that tan. Oh,
It's weak.
Yeah.
It's hard to follow.
Did you peel this?
Well, no. But I said,
you know, I said, this is just a drive. You know, Robin got so they talking.
she's like, I'm a good girl. I don't need that. So, yeah.
Hey, Erica. Hey, Jane. Welcome back.
Thank you. You know, I'm thinking with our message,
That's the other Zoom's on. That's the use of light. Maybe tomorrow. Yeah, I know.
yeah, so I'm like, we'll just say, you know, they were next day or two. Wants to get into stable condition.
Yeah, yeah.
And here.
Did you hear anything else? I mean, are they?
So much
okay?
longer.
Oh,
Exactly.
okay, good. So.
There's a comment.
What's your? He's not.
So.
All right.
So it's not, you know.
All right. Oh, boy.
I just got a lot of.
Yeah.
Responses, I'm sure they wanted too, but. People on Facebook and everything was just.
Yeah.
Oh, I still. And then I'm just there. It's fun.
Grab a napkin out of you.
Yes, help yourself.
They're right on the side of one of the shelves. Okay.
25 degrees, you shouldn't.
It is freezing
You
out
shouldn't get
there.
many people.
I went to go unlock that door. I was like, woo.
Spill, well, watch out. My soda kind of exploded.
You need paper towels?
Yeah, I got some.
Okay, good. All right.
I'm getting to know your office pretty well now.
That's fine. That's good.
Thank you.
My office is supposed to be home.
That's right. It feels like it. All right.
Well, and you know, when they came to me, I said, it's going to be having. But. Yeah, I said, we'll figure out a way.
Yeah.
think you might not be that busy tonight because it's so cold out.
I know, right?
It's bad. It's freezing out there.
Yeah. Like, you sure it's not gonna snow?
That's bone chilling. Yeah, so that you could check on that. Yeah. Yeah, so they can already start. I'm not a song grow, but I said I share a statement, you know, just so people know that also the town. This is it, and I'm trying to read it this evening to start the meetings, so people understand. But we'll let people know that their son and go house or survive. So that we let them, talk about it. Because some people are like, yeah, survive, I'm like, yeah. Right, yeah, okay, just so people know.
Yeah, but his license to. Well, it's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the regular, could be the owl, so don't forget, that's what I'm saying. That's they use holes. Yes.
I've never heard that.
That's probably his name.
Conversation. I went to Korea yesterday, so, hey, nice to meet you. We've all been straightened out. Indeed. Yeah. Let's see.
Have you been over to the dome? That's pretty. Yeah, that's right. You can't get.
I hear what you're saying.
I'll take your, I'll take some.
Yeah.
I think it's worthwhile.
Yes, that's. I think there was. That's. This I have. Okay.
Come back, Paul.
No matter about.
Yeah,
I didn't get that part of the agenda.
and the last page. The last page is probably the most. You'll see how stuff is all, and the spreadsheet that Al put together.
Right.
Are you, so. Let's you have Al trying to do that. This last page.
It was yes. So no one was having to get over. I think they saw much conversation in your
Yeah. I was out there, like, the voice was doing. This was just always just meant to going into the recording, it's not wasn't meant to amplify.
Right,
But now it's like-
yeah.
Yeah.
Taking a few things off the.
Perfect. Yeah, I was thinking as a time.
Hey, all right, Sam.
Yeah, so.
I look fancy, huh?
Yes.
Way to go.
Brett?
That is one of the. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, Erica. The emails that Greg sent out with changes that reflected.
That's in there, yes. Took care of that the minute you sent it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. They're on the website too. Hey, how are you?
You dropped one? Yes.
We're sitting there looked at it too.
I was happy, the paper's still there, I'm like, okay, good. Okay. Oh, because.
Send over, was kind of, everything was back in the same.
Temporary.
Yeah. It's already.
Yeah.
I'm rounding up. Okay, I'm lost. You talking?
Never again. The following day, council meeting.
Oh, that's on me.
Yes, yeah. No. So you start putting things to the side, then. Piles, little piles. I told myself that Greg wants to put something in my suitcase, I'm like, ah. So.
That was a good deal, yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, we did that.
We had a call today with Suburban Consulting. We met them at the New Jersey State Municipality. They were talking to us about grants for program management.
that they can get, so there were the next 2 years, the opportunity for grants that we.
Grant money
We missed the last.
regarding water. Sewer, sanitary sewer.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're gonna do it quickly.
We do.
And that's it.
We're grandfathered into that extension. Oh, listen, I'm glad you said me. It's like I'm in.
Let me question that. How do you pronounce that woman's last name?
It was a Greek name, is all I can say. Elaine is definitely not, but it's.
Yeah, that color, it's a lot. It was unbelievable.
She's good though, right?
It's like, green black.
Oh, no, okay.
You also got a call.
I think Tuesday, we have to rest there. Thank you.
So I can start to get. You send it. Maybe I can start. Maybe not. Yeah, no, that part. John, hello, how you doing? Oh, just talking. Okay, so we're on our way back to you. Right.
Please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I wish to announce that the 48-hour notice is required under the Open Public Meetings Act was emailed to the Asbury Park Press, the Coast Star, and the New Coaster on December the 19th of 2024. That a copy has been placed on the bulletin board in the borough office and that a copy has been filed with the municipal clerk. As a courtesy to the public, this meeting may be attended via Zoom. If for any reason the Zoom portion of this meeting fails or is disconnected, the in-person meeting will continue and action can and will be taken, providing that there is an in-person quorum. Ms. DeNoble?
Here.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Here.
Mr. Nowicki?
Here.
Mr. Weber?
Here.
Mayor Gubitosi excused.
Okay, here we go. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. As you can see, Mayor Gubitosi is not here this evening. I'd just like to up-to-date you on the situation. Mayor Gubitosi is unable to attend tonight's council meeting due to a severe and traumatic out-of-state family emergency involving his son and daughter-in-law. The mayor has been tirelessly working for Bradley Beach to improve our community, and while he tends to his crucial family matter, I told you I was gonna cry. The council wishes him and his family strength and comfort, and we want to reassure you that the residents of Bradley Beach will continue to work diligently on their behalf and maintain the progress we've made together. So I'm just gonna gather myself. I'm sorry. They're doing okay. The kids are making it. They're surviving, but it's been really tough on Ann and Al. And we're gonna talk about puppies next, so I'll be okay, I promise. So we're gonna start with some workshops, and the mayor and I recently discussed the dog regulation. And we want to revisit our ordinance because we're looking at getting a Bradley Beach development team together and being, inviting the dogs to the parks is part of it. And I just want to read the regulation that we have currently, which is chapter 115-2G. And no person owning, harboring, keeping, or in charge of any dog shall cause, suffer, permit, or allow such dog to walk or run in the play area, park, boardwalk, beach, or beachfront, in the borough except permitted as 123-8H, which we all know is when the dogs are allowed on the beach from October 1st to May 15th. And that's when it's lawful to allow dogs and other domestic animals to be on the public beach area of the borough. So they're allowed there about 7 months. And then I wanted to share with you. Okay, the task force, and then after that. Let me just get my act here together. We want to have like an open discussion. We want to talk about the pros, the cons, the benefits, the good, the bad, the ugly. And we're going to have a committee that's going to also cover this. We just wanted to kick it off and consider what's the good part, what's the bad part of having dogs in parks. And I'm gonna start with some pros that I researched, and we have a large population of dogs, and the population is growing. And a lot of us enjoy our furry friends, and our current ordinance restricts them from enjoying our parks. And perhaps it's time to revisit this. So the good parts is that you get exercise and socialization. The parks provide spaces for dogs and their owners to exercise and socialize and contribute to their physical and mental well-being. And the community, dog owners often connect with each other in the parks, and they foster a sense of community. And then increased park usage. It allows dogs in the parks, and they can encourage more residents to utilize these public spaces. And of course, reasonable pet ownership is crucial. We have to make sure our ordinance is enforced, that we clean up, and we ensure the safety and enjoyment of all the park users. So I don't know if I should open to the public first, or do you guys want to make any comments about this?
I think that, I actually think there's more dogs in this, in the borough than there are children.
Then you might be right.
But with that, I think the number one concern is health and safety. And so no matter what we do or what we consider as health and safety has to be first. And that health and safety for the human population first, and then second for the dogs. And I think whatever we do and whatever we consider has to consider that as a forefront. And then see how we can work around that and what fits within those confines of what is healthy and what is safe
Yes,
for the community.
good point, thank you.
And I just wanted to mention that, we have these resident advisory committees that we're developing. And one of the resident advisory committees will be about the discussion of a dog park. And if there's an opportunity in the borough, and that'll definitely be a discussion. So this really is just about identifying the parks that we have, addressing all of the various parks, and considering in some of these parks the possibility of dogs on leashes during, with some conditions during certain times, events or something like that.
Okay.
So that's what tonight's discussion is.
Right, just just to kind of kick it off and just get some public feedback and some interest in the task force as well.
So she's a cat owner, by the way, just. So-
I need to blow your mic too.
Well, no, because it's
Oh,
actually
I
too
did-
loud.
oh, is it? Oh, okay.
And it's like,
I'm scared to touch that thing.
Okay, we won't touch it. Okay.
people can hear me, I'm sure.
Okay.
So I would be in favor of, whenever we have an event in Riley Park, technically dogs aren't allowed. So I would love it if we as the council, if we have to do it for every event, or if we just had to do it once a blanket, but whenever there's a town sanctioned event in Riley Park, I think the whole no dogs in Riley Park thing should be lifted. People can bring their dogs. They do it anyway, so I feel like let's just make it legal. And because when there's an event with hundreds of people in the park, I don't think we're gonna have this problem of people not picking up after their dogs. I'm a former dog owner. We have the best deal for dogs in probably anywhere around here because they're allowed on the beach, off leash, 7 months a year, which is pretty darn good. But that said, obviously, people still don't pick up after their dog on the beach. I would like to consider I feel like, I'm glad you're here, Biagio, maybe you can bear this out for me, but the amount that the town provides those mutt mitts, right? It's like, you don't even have to bring your bag, there's bags in case you don't have one. But the cost to the town, has it not gone up like exponentially? I feel like it used to be just like, okay, a normal amount, and then clearly somebody goes up to the mid dispenser and takes like 50 of them every time, and you fill it, and 3 days later it's empty. And that's just on the beachfront, so I'm imagining, what's that gonna be like if we have, you know, parks and stuff available as well? I am right, we spend like a decent amount of money,
Yes.
like,
More importantly, like you said, you order a certain amount, you put them in, and a couple days later, they're gone.
yeah. So we'll have to consider that. I mean, I'm open to the idea of someplace else in town, but I really like the idea of just letting them in Riley Park when we're having events. But I honestly think if we open up any one of the parks or playgrounds or anything like that, we're gonna end up with, the same dog waste problem, because even if it's just a few percentage of people that, dog owners that aren't picking up, it's, everybody knows it, you know?
Yeah, I also think the use, each park has different use. Some are passive, where there's not, children activities specifically. And there's other ones that have playground facilities. And where children are, toddlers, playing, in the dirt or on the grass, on their hands and knees. And I think those areas would be more restrictive to be able to accommodate both. And so I think we need to look at the use of each of the parks and each of the greenway areas and identify locations that would be, appropriate for, to let your, to walk your dogs and whatnot. And then unleashed, and then whether or not you end up having a, if you ultimately can find a quote dog park or create one somehow. Then there's other things that we need to look at, such as, the size of the dogs. Do you separate them? Does everybody have their dogs, do they have to be neutered? Do they have to? So there's a lot of considerations. And so this committee would be a great way to really, get some people who really understand all those. And Monmouth County has dog parks, so we can actually learn from, what has been done before and gather that information to make sure we do it the right way.
Well said. Yeah, because we do have parks like Second Avenue. I see a lot of dog owners enjoying it. And technically, they're breaking the law. So I think that, that would be a good place to start, to say, hey, that's a good place to be. I know Riley Park, you talked about that. People talk about the promenade, and I said, well, it's a smaller walkway. Like you look at Asbury Park, and it's so wide, and ours is a lot more narrow. And you say, okay, well, you can't go there, but you can go to Second Avenue and enjoy the grassy area over there. So these are just things that we're kind of throwing out there just to get an idea. And I think I can open it up to the public right now. And I'd like to invite Dr. Heaney up here, Kathleen. Yes, please do. Over up there, just say your name and address.
Okay.
She and I work at the, we volunteer together, and we discussed this last week, and the mayor had requested that she get up and speak. She is a licensed New Jersey veterinarian.
So, yeah, my name is, can you hear me?
Okay, just pull the
I'm
mic
Dr.
up.
Kathleen Heaney. I
You-
live
you
at
are.
303.
Just address us. Yes,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, that's okay. Yes.
I live at 303 Fletcher Lake Avenue, right near what I didn't realize is not a dog park.
Right. Because
That
that's their own time.
triangle land between Second and Third Avenue, I didn't realize that was restricted. But the council, some of the council members and the mayor asked that I come in as an expert, just inform you of the potential, I don't want to say cons, but things that you should consider as you workshop this topic. I'm not really taking a stand necessarily, I just want to let you know of what you should be thinking about. And there's three major things. The first one is dog bites. There's 90 million dogs in the US. There's 4.5 million bites reported every year in the US, so it's about 5%. The average insurance claim that's paid out is $58,000. That's average. The people that are most frequently bitten are children. And anytime that you increase the number of dogs and people, you increase the risk. So I understand the desire to have dogs be at these big events that we have, but you certainly are increasing your risk of dog bites. Kids don't know how to behave around a dog, they'll run away and so on, and that's what makes them at higher risk. And there's also people, I'm a veterinarian, I love animals, I've worked my whole career, I've been a veterinarian for over 40 years. I have two siblings that are afraid of dogs, so I think that needs to be considered when you're workshopping this topic. The next two risks, and Mr. Nowicki, I think kind of touched on them a little bit, are parasites. There's two that are of concern that dogs carry that people can get. There's others too, but let's just talk about these two, hookworms and roundworms. Those worm eggs are shed in the dog's feces. Even when you pick it up, the eggs can remain. After a few days, they become infective, where they can infect people. And roundworms are a biggest risk in children because they ingest the worm eggs. They don't realize they're digging in the dirt or sandbox or on the beach. The kids, my grandkids are on the beach, they get sand in their sandwiches, they're eating it, and that's how they get infected. And the worms go to their lungs, liver, and even in the eye, kidneys. They can go to the brain and it can be devastating. Those worm eggs, roundworm eggs, are very resistant in the environment and they can actually persist for months to years. So something to consider, especially where children play, where they're playing in the dirt, digging in the dirt on like the playground equipment, you have to be aware of that. The next worm I'll just mention is hookworms, and that's a risk for all of us. The hookworm eggs, again, they get on the ground. Within 10 days, they become infective. They survive for 3 to 4 weeks, unless it's very cold or very hot and dry. So they love warm, moist areas. So the beach is a good place where you can get this. And the way you get infected with hookworm is by walking barefooted or sitting on the wet sand or in the ground. And I have to admit, I've walked barefooted with my grandkids in that Second Avenue Park. And now that I know that everyone walks their dogs there, I'm not taking my shoes off anymore. And they crawl in through your skin and they cause something called creeping eruption. It's a very itchy rash. If you sit on them, they can burrow in your butt, in your skin, wherever you have bare skin, or most frequently it's in the, on your feet. And it's usually associated with beaches, but you can get it in other places as well. So there's other concerns, but those are the three main that I think you need to consider.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. We
My
appreciate
pleasure.
that.
Sure.
It's interesting, after we spoke, I looked up on the internet and it said even from petting a dog, you have risk as well. And
Oh, can I say one thing?
Yes.
I should have, you want me to come back? on
yeah,
this?
sure.
Okay. So, people say I don't have worm, my dog doesn't have worms, but the Companion Animal Parasite Council recommends that everyone deworm their dogs. Either put them on a heartworm preventive that also has hookworm and roundworm preventive in it. That's the best thing to do. If not, you should be deworming your dogs 4 times a year. And people say, I think a lot of people are not aware of this. So aside from not picking up the poo, I'm babysitting my grand dog this week and I just walked 3 blocks and I saw 3 piles of poo. 2 were in bags and just laid on the ground. The other one was, I've done the beach cleanup. I find a lot of poo there. I've seen people, so it's people, even though people say, well, I'm good about my dog, there's a lot of people that aren't good about their dogs. So that's the risk.
It only takes a couple people and that's a lot of poop.
That's right. It's
Yeah,
a lot of
dogs poop every day. So-
And the number of worms that are shed are thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. So that's the
Yeah.
risk.
Yeah, it was interesting, like, you can sit down if you like. I just wanted to talk, touch on that again. I looked up what we discussed and I saw that you can even get this from petting a dog. So a little public service announcements here. Wash your hands thoroughly after petting an animal. Avoid petting dogs that appear sick or have any skin lesions. Don't let dogs lick your face, especially around your mouth or eyes. Keep your dog up to date on vaccination and parasite prevention, like you said, and clean up after your dog promptly and dispose of feces properly. I also saw that a human bite is more harmful than a dog bite to a human. So if you see Mike Tyson in the park, make sure you just turn around and go the other way. So there's some interesting facts about that, but we do love our pups and like you said, you have dogs too. And yeah, so would anybody like, please come up. Hi, just come here, say your name and address.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dawn Sisak, 602 Monmouth. And I just turned on and I was just listening to the topic of workshopping. So it's a topic near and dear to my heart. I know that I just came on when you started your I didn't get to hear everything you had to say about it. But, I'm a little nervous because this isn't really my thing to, be the person who's gonna be the Debbie Downer about the dogs. So my daughter happened to be, a child who was mauled, bit by a dog as a 6 years old. And it was a very nice neighborly dog. I love dogs. I have friends with dogs. It's caused a lot of damage to the dog, to her face. Which that's what they do because children at eye level with the dog. I don't know if that was explained, but if a child is, and I do happen to have a grandchild now who's 2.5 years old. But just at eye level, it was a nice dog and it happened, it caused a lot of just a lot of issues and scarring and everything. So I know that a lot of people love these dogs. I love a dog park. I just want to say I love a dog park, a place where a dog can go. But I have a 2-year-old who's a toddler. And I love going to the events here. I take her to all the events here and she toddles around. And of course, she's gonna encounter dogs when they toddle around and if they're either on a leash or not on a leash. And that's a problem, you know, I love the Riley Park events and I run after her. And there's so many people with dogs there. It's just, it's again, eye level, the dog is on a leash, everyone's enjoying themselves. And I always worry about it, especially since she's my grandchild. And recently, the last time, my final thing about the dogs are, I can't even take her to the beach off season anymore, because I did take her to the beach. It was September, we're on the beach, I actually made a phone call to the police department, just as a question. Not as a negative person, but I'm in the water, we're there, and the dogs are off leash, and there's, you know, the owners are 300 yards away. And the 2 large, medium-sized dogs are now jumping on me. And jumping on her in the water. And the person who owned the dogs are screaming at me saying, it's off season and these dogs are allowed to be off leash, too bad for you. So I'm here as a representative of a person who's experienced, child has experienced a dog bite. This isn't even my jam to be here and be the Debbie Downer on, you know, in front of everyone.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I am, but it needs to be represented. I'm not about this. I don't mind picking up dog. Who, my neighbors have great dogs. I have dogs in my house. All my friends have a dog. I don't mind any of that, but I do mind that I want to bring my grandchild to enjoy everything that's available for her to enjoy here, to experience it. And I don't want to worry about if a stranger dog just happens not to like my grandchild at that moment. Which you see all the time as a veterinarian, you hear about it all the time as a veterinarian, it's quite prevalent.
You know, what's interesting, Dawn, it used to be they allowed dogs at September 15th. And there were so many people that were still on the beach that it was moved to October 1st. So, yeah, if you ever see anybody with.
Well, I think say it was October
Yeah,
1st, they could have
okay.
been in that range.
But we did-
But I did call and I asked, I said, are they allowed to be off
Yeah,
leash, because it was very harassing to
I
me.
know.
Cause I have 2 strange men, you know, I'm with the 2-year-old, I'm in the water, the dogs are jumping on us, and I'm like, wow. This is not nice and it's not cool,
Well,
you know.
thank you for
But
sharing
That's
your-
just my,
Yeah.
that's my sharing moments. of
No,
this.
thank you for sharing your
allowing
concerns.
moments, I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum.
And that's okay, but
Thank you, I
Thank you.
appreciate it, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, I know, that was my note, it's October 1st, yeah. Oh, anybody else? Come on up.
Hi, Jimmy Castellano, 604 Bradley Boulevard. I'll be Debbie Downer #2.
Okay.
I'm a prior dog owner. I'm a runner. I've been chased by dogs. I've been bit by dogs. I run on the promenade. Dogs are usually not the problem. It's the people that own the dogs. And I think it's exactly for the reason the woman mentioned. It's the entitlement culture. A lot of times of dog owners is terrible. And I'm in agreement that we do not enforce dogs on the promenade when they're not supposed to be. I run all the time. I see the cars, the police cars, they're parked right next to promenade. They're parked. They're looking for something on the promenade. I don't know what it is because the dogs are there and the police aren't doing anything about it. So with that said, I'm all for dog parks. I don't care if they make every single dog a dog park, except Bradley Park. When I go to an event, I don't want to hear a dog bark. I don't want to hear two dogs barking at each other. And again, I think it's the entitlement of, I'm gonna let my dog off the leash, I'm gonna give them a long leash. And it's not something that I want to watch or listen to when I'm at one of these events, especially a concert. Let me see if I got everything. Oh, and I do want to mention that I live actually across the street from what I call the Bradley Dog Highway. So this is the area of grass between the Bradley Boulevard curve on the south side and Sylvan Lake. Hundreds of people during the summer walk their dogs there. People drive from out of town to walk their dogs in that spot. And I think it's fine. It's not really a park. They want to use it to walk their dog. It's fine. It's not someplace I walk. But I think that's a good spot. And I'm sure there's a lot of other good spots, but I would say keep the dogs and the people a little bit further apart. Thank you.
Thank you,
Always
thank you.
listen.
Yes, that's great. Thank you. Okay. Eileen. Five more minutes. Okay.
Denise Shishias, 112 Fourth Avenue. I was not prepared to talk about dogs, but being maternal, I feel that I have to share that I really have a serious problem with dogs unleashed on the beach. Our son was jogging and he was bitten by a dog. His skin was broken. And of course, he didn't have a cell phone on with him. And the owner of the dog said to him, "Oh, it's the first time it ever happened." And since then, he doesn't jog on the beach anymore. That's his own, tell me for saying all this, but anyway. And then he had to go and get all the shots. Another thing that is concerning me about dogs on the beach, and I don't want to deprive that of anybody, but based on what the veterinarian talked about with the feces, with all of the, our kids aren't in that sand all summer. How do we know we're not going to be infecting them with some of this? I mean, that is a serious concern. And I don't know how you're going to deal with it, but I don't like the idea of the kids playing in the sand and potentially getting seriously ill.
Okay,
I mean, I
understand,
think-
yeah. This is why, actually, Dr. Heaney told me that it was, that's why we do May 15th. So within the 2 weeks, with the sun and the exposure, most of the eggs.
But do they really think that's, I'm
Right.
guessing that's why they did it.
Yeah, that's why we had that last.
But I
retreat.
don't, and the roundworm eggs are more persistent in the environment, and I can't tell you how persistent they would be.
Yeah.
But certainly the hookworm eggs, 3 weeks in the sun, should drive, should.
Do you rake I'm sorry, do you rake the sand and collect all of that stuff? I mean, how
Some
does
of
that,
it goes in, but some of it doesn't.
and how about in the water? I mean, all of that stuff being washed in the water, what is the potential?
These are things we have to take into
I
consideration.
mean, and I don't want to deprive anybody of, but I think it's
Right.
something.
Well, we're
a
gonna-
health matter, a public health matter.
This,
I
this
think
is
should
really
be-
great feedback, was we're hearing what people are, they're saying, well, Sylvan Lake might not be that bad. The promenade is not great.
And then
Second Avenue is okay, Riley Park, maybe not. So this is just, we're gathering information and
But
this is
how do we
great,
also know that these dogs are properly vaccinated?
right?
I mean,
Then maybe with the dog park, we can better regulate that, allowing people in.
is there a way that you could have a dog park where it's members only?
We could consider that
And
too.
then put a fee associated with it?
That's
so
a great
that-
idea.
And so that there's maintenance and,
Absolutely. Yes.
I
That's a-
mean,
Yeah, these
just
are,
to protect.
this is great,
everyone.
really great feedback. Thank you, Eileen. Okay, Kristen.
Hi, Kristen Mahoney, 200 Marine Ave. I understand people's concerns about children and dogs and, the unpredictability. Dogs don't have to be in a park for something to happen. I was walking down the street with my dog and two dogs jumped their owner's front fence and attacked my dog and pinned her down and almost killed her. That said, we live in one of the densest communities in New Jersey. And the fact of the matter is, they're just, even if you have a dog, and there are a lot of dogs, a lot of people don't, I hear people say all the time, let your dog go to the bathroom in your own yard. Yeah, I don't have a yard. I know plenty of people in this town who do not have a yard. It would be nice, and I love that we have the beach for 7 months, but it would be nice if there was a place where dogs could go. To socialize, to get exercise, to do things like that. When we're talking about the mutt mitts, I think we should absolutely get rid of them on the beach. I think people come and they take them, and one day, I'm there every day with my dog in the off season. They'll be there one day, they're gone the next. If you're not responsible enough to bring, and chances are your dog's not going to the bathroom for the first 2 seconds when it goes on the beach. But if we were to allow them in parks and it's a much more contained area, maybe we could have mutt mitts, but I think a great way to save money is to get rid of them right now. With regard to the diseases, geese carry Giardia. The disease is carried by the seagulls that fly everywhere, salmonella, hippoplasmosis, bird flu. All that stuff just gets ground under when the Zamboni comes by, but it doesn't change the fact that all those parasites are still in the beach as you sit there. But as Councilman Nowicki said, there could be specific places that we could use to allow dogs. Maybe the promenade on the off season, and different parks that we have. So I'd like to examine that. I'm sorry for anyone who's been attacked by a dog. There are lousy people in this world. There are people who get out of their car and into their car at the end of the beach day and throw their garbage in front of my house 1 block from the beach. And that's just human nature, unfortunately. So entitlement is one thing, but lack of regard for other human beings and the environment is another. And I don't know how we go about fixing that, but it's something we're gonna have to deal with. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Nancy? If you could just hold your applause, we don't really encourage people to clap or boo, and it's okay, it's okay. I know people have been kind of clapping, we just don't want anybody to be afraid to speak, and sometimes it just intimidates people. So just hold your applause. You can save it for me later if you want to boo anybody. I'm sorry.
I'd like applause.
Oh, I know, we all like applause, but if someone doesn't get it, their feelings are hurt, and I don't want anybody to feel intimidated.
Nancy Meadow, Ocean Park Condos. So to summarize, the biggest problem is the dog owner, not the dog. Health is a problem. Entitlement is a huge problem. I'm a taxpayer. My taxes go not only here, but I also pay state taxes. They go to the county and the county parks, the county dog parks, which are quite lovely. So dogs can go there. I've been myself. Maybe I'm a dog.
Never.
And step back. I don't choose to have a dog park here for so many other reasons. But now let's step back and we have one. I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is. 7 months on the beach is not enough, so I guess this is a 12-month dog, whatever. The current rules are not enforced about dogs on the beach. What makes you think they're going to be enforced with a dog park? That's just another failure of something here in town. And I don't think we need to deal with that.
Okay.
Along with the lawsuits and this and that, but we already don't have rules and laws enforced. I hate the dogs off a leash, because I'm usually on the beach sitting there through part of November, and the dog owners are nasty. And whether it's in July at 7 o'clock in the morning, law enforcement ignores all of this. So when you think about trying to please everyone, make a compromise, and gee, let's have a dog park, let's also look out here. Is the room filled with all dog owners? How many of them cared to even come tonight?
So you can plug me now.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. So we are gonna have a task force. There is a link on the bradleybeach.gov site. You could go ahead and sign up for that. It's under Bradley Beach Development. And I do encourage volunteers, and this is a lively conversation. This is great feedback from everybody, and I appreciate everyone that has been here and got up and spoke and shared your ideas. Bravo to everybody. So we're gonna go ahead and table the Park Mobile discussion. Mayor Gubertosi would like to discuss that, so we're gonna save that for him when he returns. And then next is the host compliance Granicus. Granicus? Granicus. Okay, so I know we have a slide for this that explains this, I think, the host compliance, yes, we can briefly cover this. Michelle, may I have the slide for the Granicus host compliance? Matt, do you want to cover this one?
Sure. So, host compliance is simply a way, it's a tool for the borough to be able to track short-term rentals. So you know them as Airbnbs, VRBOs, things like that. Because these are put online primarily for rentals, we don't really have a tool inside to track, to monitor it. This would provide us with that tool. So it would do two things at once. It would increase our enforcement of existing ordinances that are on the books regarding short-term rentals. And it would also generate a little bit of revenue for the borough at the same time.
And it would also be collecting the 3% fee, so it would be doing some administrative.
Right.
Yes, exactly. It intertwines with the ordinance we passed last time for the tax. Obviously, no one pays their taxes unless there's some sort of enforcement. And so this double checks, obviously, there's people, these are commercial interests. They're all people that are advertising online. It's transient accommodations is the definition as the ordinance. If anyone was here last time, we discussed that ordinance. It applies to the exact same kind of rentals. This is not renting to your cousin, your garage apartment. This is people who are actively advertising and operating a commercial business essentially in your neighborhoods. And so they're allowed to do that because they own the property and this is America, but you also have to pay your taxes. And so this is going to hopefully be a big piece of enforcing that occupancy tax.
So does it actually collect the tax, or does it just ensure that, does it just tell us like, yes, no, this person paid the tax?
If the tax is paid through the state, they don't actually pay the tax through this software. But it does check to make sure that any municipal fees and the taxes are being assessed, because they're required to be assessed to the consumer according to the occupancy tax. And so they're supposed to be added on to the bill like a VAT tax, so that it's transparent with the person who's renting the transient accommodation. And so they do check, my understanding is that they do check that sort of thing. And it's basically an algorithm that aggregates these various websites, so that we're primarily paying for their software that automatically does this through the internet.
Right, we would never be able to do that ourselves to monitor and enforce compliance.
We talked about this a few years back, it wasn't implemented, so anyone who's been here for a few years, I see a few of you, has heard this before. And so we have, we'll turn over at code enforcement, we're gonna try this again to integrate it. Previously, you did have someone who was actually researching the websites themselves, you're paying someone their salary or hourly wage in the case of a part-time person to do this work, and this is $13,000, which is less than the benefits package for a full-time public employee. So economy efficiency thing, it seems like the code department's buying in, the administrators in, so see how it goes.
Great. Linda.
Hi.
I'm gonna open it up to the public, is that okay?
Yes.
I just did.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I saw your hand go. Very quick.
I don't want this to be the locker discussion, but would that entail also the people that rent out their units that have lockers? Because those people on the ordinance kind of looks like they're not supposed to do that. If they rent out, it's not family or friends, you know. what I'm saying?
Specifically, as sitting here right now, I have to tell you that the mayor did, as he did 3 years ago, when this was presented, everyone did a lot of legwork on this. So I don't want to speak for him, and I don't know the first answer. But my understanding is there is a number of add-ons on this software. We're getting the basic package, and there's a number of add-ons onto it. Obviously, it's like any other software package you can keep adding. And I know that it does have customizable aspects, so like that's a particularized thing here at Bradley Beach. And I think we could add that, but I don't want to, I don't know, I wasn't in
No.
the mayor ran it, so the mayor might be able to say.
Because a lot of times
see you
people
next time.
buy programs and don't buy enough of the program or the whole package or part of the package. And then when they realize it, it's too late, they have to pay double the amount to get the rest of the package, but, all right, Linda, Linda Docking 312, Linda, I have to do that. So I think it would behoove the whole council to get together and look at the whole thing, and maybe if it costs $2,000 more, get another part of the package, you can attach the locker to it. And also, does it generate lists? So you can send out cards, you were delinquent, you didn't get this, we're, you
I
know,
believe so, yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Any comments or questions?
I was just gonna reiterate what the attorney said. It was actually 2000, again, for those of you playing along at home, it was that long ago. It was Councilman Gubitosi at the time and Councilman Sexsmith, and they had this idea, it was 2020. By the time, you know, it was up and running and our administration changed, and I think the new administration did not favor this, so we never reaped the benefits, is my understanding. So eager to speak to Mayor Gubitosi and find out what is different this time, because he basically handled it both times. And it seems like a great idea, it seems like a really great upside if we can make it happen, so looking forward to it.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, we're gonna go ahead on to presentations and bids. There is none. And next we will be approval of the minutes.
Oh,
Want to make a motion to approve?
Oh, okay, yes, I was gonna wait for Erica, but yes, okay, I make a motion to approve the minutes. February 4th, 2025.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
yes.
Mayor Gubitosi, excused.
Now we're gonna open up to public comments and questions pertaining to the February 18th, 2025 agenda items only. Any questions? Anybody? Eileen, yes.
This one, Fifth Avenue. I guess it's a continuation of my concern about the oceanfront, and tonight it will be the lockers.
Is this, what agenda item are you?
Is that on, is that about?
The ordinance maybe? You're talking about the ordinance introduction of it?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, this is
Am I
about-
at the wrong time?
Well, it's about subletting the lockers.
Yeah.
No, it's not about that. It's about residents and lockers. The taxpayers. Who maintains the lockers? Is the lockers maintained in Bradley Beach?
Yes, when you pay your fee, that goes towards maintaining
Okay,
the locker
but
and moving
it's
the
also
locker.
stored on
Yes.
Bradley Beach property, correct?
Yes,
And Public Works maintains those lockers, correct?
yes,
Okay, taxpayers are paying for their salary. Taxpayers are paying for the land, correct? I find it very difficult to understand why the borough somehow cannot make accommodations to the taxpayers. I'm not saying deny anybody public access, because I know that's an issue. But why can't taxpayers have some type of priority on first come? Some of the locker lines, I call it locker alley, have gotten so long that it's actually closer to walk from your house, carry your chairs from your house to the beach. So I think it's time for somehow, instead of saying we can't do it, find a way to say, how can we accommodate our taxpayers? Not denying anybody the right to have it, but I feel as though there should be some type of consideration for taxpayers.
I think they're coming up with an answer for you right now. I hope.
Don't be so sure.
I mean, that's a difficult, in terms of discriminating between residents and non-residents, if they're, you know, look, as to access, of course, you cannot. With facilities, there are exceptions to that rule for residents versus non-residents, particularly when there's a beach club or a building, but not with respect to essential facilities, like you can't discriminate as to bathrooms, right, or something that everyone needs to use the beach. That's the trust doctrine. You know, but you guys put them out by the entrances inside the access area. And it's not a particularly, it's not like its own facility. That my understanding is that they're spread out of each block. That's a really tricky gray area to get into with the public trust doctrine in terms of telling residents that they get preference or don't because of where they're located and how spread they are on the beach. Not necessarily an essential facility. You know, in general, your point is well taken, and the taxpayers do take care of them, although I think it might come from the beach fund. It's not something I would recommend. It's not something, I don't want to say it's impossible, because you can Google it right now and you can see some of the exceptions, but when you read them, they very much are more of a beach club than they are lockers that are in the accessible area. It's a very tough area. I wouldn't recommend that you do something like that, the way you guys handle the beach.
Do other municipalities accommodate residents first before they have, non-residents have the lockers?
Mr. Shi, I'll tell you, the easiest way to do that without violating the public trust doctrine, I remember it being debated here, my understanding is that you can still come here, is to have in-person registration for the lockers up front, right? That means that anyone can come to the window, right, and register for the beach lockers. They can come from anywhere in New Jersey, but it's easier for the residents to get here. And that's, so you're treating everyone the same. You know, I think the borough does do the in-person. I think there was talk about online, but then we kept it in person. And that was a direct nod to the notion that it's easier for residents to come down here on the first day, first hour, than it is necessarily for someone from Staten Island.
I have been a resident there on that day. And I had a little competition with some people who were going to be there first. And I got there before he did that day, that time. And there were other people there before me, and there were non-residents, because they knew the system.
Well, that's, you know, that's part of the public trust doctrine. It's a plus and a minus, you know, especially you go to other places in New Jersey that are different than here with a massive public beach when it's much more divided. But yeah, I mean, that, you know, I don't recommend you get into the beach lockers the way they're spread out. You know, but we are aware of it here, and, you know, if that process could, maybe you think about it some more. But that, you know, in terms of just structuring the process to be in person in here, that's the easiest way we can make it easier for residents to be here first. Although we can't guarantee it if someone brings a tent, you know.
Greg, if you remember, the last administration argued against that whole system because they didn't want people waiting out in the cold, and it was terrible for seniors and stuff. So we went to the online community pass, so
And that costs us money as well, doesn't it?
everything costs money.
I know, but if we had it in person outside, the way it used to be, there wouldn't be a surcharge.
Sure.
You can still pay in person.
Yeah, but you still don't get, yes, excuse me, but you don't get first come, first served type of privilege with the locker. I mean, that's it more than anything. And it was actually a little happening. out
It
there.
was fun.
It was
Yeah,
fun.
it was
I mean,
cold, but it was fun.
Yeah,
But thank you.
Anyway.
Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hi, Brian Downey, 619 4th Avenue. Am I allowed to ask questions?
Is it on the agenda item?
It's for, sorry, it's for the event that is Darcy's is proposing.
Yes, that is on the agenda. Yes, and you definitely may ask questions. You may ask questions or make comments, anything. We work for you.
What is the status of
The status of what?
the tent and parking lot?
I'm gonna have our BA, Matt, go and give us the update on that.
So Darcy's, along with some other businesses in town, were issued violation notices back in in January. They were given 30 days to cure, which is a reasonable amount of time. The 30 days expired yesterday, the 17th. Darcy's, that you talk about, any other structures should be coming down.
Okay, so with that, to approve a special event in the very place for the exact reason a violation has been issued and that violation was not addressed, is sending a disjointed message by the Borough of Bradley Beach. Conflicting information affects people's trust. Otherwise, I wouldn't really have a problem with it, but due to the fact that they did not comply, I'd say it's inappropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? I see, oh, Linda Duffy.
Linda Duffy, 312 Brindley, I'm back to lockers. Okay, I did complain a few years ago that I used to have a locker on Park Place. I did move to Brindley. I put myself on the list for Brindley. I did pay the initial fee on Park Place and I have paid again. So now your ordinance has not been corrected to say what you wanted to say. It still says the initial fee is like, initial is first.
Right.
I paid it twice. That's wrong. This needs to be corrected so people know exactly what they're doing and what the town is doing. Because I do know of people in this town that had lockers moved from one beach to another. And did they pay a fee?
This is a good question.
This is a very good question.
Do you know, when you move your locker, do you have to pay the initiation fee again?
That's what she's saying.
It doesn't make a difference. It needs to say if you can move a locker. I didn't move my locker because I was told I couldn't.
Right.
I had to get on the list.
For the.
So I
other
did that.
location.
So it's not an initial fee. John, Councilman Weber told me it was supposed to be understood that way, but it's not written that way. This ordinance needs to be adjusted before it's adopted. We need to have a workshop on it. Also, there are many towns that allow residents first. I have this here. And it says at the end, you know, outside people can come after if there's anything left over. But also different towns charge different fees for resident and non-resident. Also, Belmar has a discounted fee for seniors. How convenient is that? Anyway, the ordinance needs to be workshopped and not introduced tonight or voted on.
What towns have,
Well, I have this list here.
are they London Beach Clubs?
Yeah,
What is the beach club?
Yeah.
But they have like giant cabanas, like.
There's
I
a
would definitely
specific
pay
case that
$3,000.
yeah, there's a specific case that allows
But I
that sort
believe
of
this
thing.
one is Asbury Park. This one is Belmar.
Seniors are specifically authorized by the statute. So you're allowed to give senior discounts, military discounts. I don't want to go through the exhaustive list, but there are specifically enumerated discounts that you can give. Seniors is one of them. The resident, non-resident rate, a lot of, I suspect when you look down that list, a lot of them are really a beach club.
No,
That is step,
Asbury Park's not a beach club.
I don't know what Asbury
I mean,
Park
it's
still is.
Belmar Beach Club.
I don't know where they're
But in
contained.
Avon, it's not a beach club. I
Avon
think
is.
it needs to be readdressed and workshopped, so we get it all correct. You can't move, you can move.
Not a beach club in the sense that it's a membership, a beach club in the sense that it's the residents, it's
It's
a
private.
private, yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
The town owns it, pays for it with different money. There's a way to set it up that you can do it that way. You know, it would be very
We're not
difficult to
looking
do
make
that.
a beach club. We're just looking for residents to have priority first.
Right,
And,
but the
you know-
issue with the beach club and why I keep saying club is because it's very contained and segregated from the remainder of the beach facilities. So I'm the village attorney for Lock Harbor and they give preference to their residents, but it's all contained in one building and the bathrooms are accessible to the public on the other side. And so that is treated differently. That's not possible here because you have the lockers spread down the whole beachfront. So that,
You'd spread down, I mean, if we put them on both sides, it would be more contained, but I'm just not arguing that. I'm
if
just
you look at the
saying
case
that-
law that allows those instances, it's just very specific as to where the residents are allowed to go and where the public is, which is functionally everywhere else. That was my only point.
So maybe.
It's not impossible. I don't want to tell you, hey, it's not possible because you can
I'm just
Google it and
saying-
see the exception.
This whole ordinance needs to be readjusted, clarified more specifically about how it's paid, and I don't think it should be voted on tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Mr.
and Linda, I'll get in touch with you tomorrow, because you're saying that you paid an initial fee.
I did. I'm not complaining about that
You
now.
want to move from one place?
No,
to
I did
another.
already. I'm all done.
And you
I
paid-
complained about this 3 or 4 years ago. I moved from one street to another, I had a beach locker, I gave it up, I put myself on the list. They made me pay the initial fee again, which I think is wrong, but if you wanna collect it, adjust the writing is wrong. It says the initial fee, initial is first time fee. Doesn't mean initial fee for one street into another street, it needs to say for each or just initial.
It was always my understanding that that fee was for the construction of the locker.
No, it's not.
No, what I'm saying is if that's applied to the construction of the locker, if you've paid that, now you vacate that locker, you go someplace else. Then
That's
somebody else,
Understanding, it's
no,
it's
then
an
someone,
interpretation.
right,
It needs to be clarified specifically, so you don't have people like me complaining.
but what I'm saying is you've already paid to the construction of a locker, you're
Twice.
just. And you shouldn't have paid twice.
Let's just clarify this, so nobody has to complain like me. Thank you.
Okay, yes,
I'll try to be quick.
yeah, that's okay.
Hi, Ray Castellano, 604 Bradley Boulevard. Coincidentally, 2 weeks ago, I talked to Matt about the lockers, not knowing it would come up. He took my number, he was kind enough to get back to me a couple days later. This is the example I gave to Matt, and I don't know if it applies or not. When I lived in Middletown, I took the train, we had a very large train station parking lot in Middletown, over 1,000 cars. And the way that it worked is residents of Middletown paid less than non-residents to use that parking lot. It's my view that residents of Bradley Beach should be able to get the lockers before non-residents. And if possible, if all the lockers are not taken for the residents, then they could go to the non-residents who could be charged double the amount of money. My listening is, other towns have it, we don't. I don't think we want to investigate. So my request is very simple. We should investigate if this can possibly be done. If it can possibly be done, we should absolutely do it. There's no way non-residents should have access to lockers. I've already been on the list 3 years and I'm still number 15. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick, oh, TJ, go ahead. Sorry.
Dave Milan, 6 Third Avenue. I had a question on 2025-82. The way this is worded, authorizing the professional engineering services for CME for Fifth Avenue sanitary sewer replacement. So my question is, are we now not realigning and
You are
now we're
correct.
replacing?
Yes,
Yeah, I'll address, yes, that's correct, but I think I'll address that at the time we speak to that resolution. I'll go over.
Okay,
the
no, I
details on
appreciate the
that.
clarification because it's much better.
It's a little more complicated than just that, but yes.
yes.
And then on the next one, 2025-83, what are those NJDOT improvements on Fifth Avenue? Do we know?
Yes, I can go over that as well. I'll discuss both of those.
Great. And then on the locker issue, you know, again, I think Mr. Cannon touched on it. It was when it was set up. It was set up improperly, and it should have never allowed for out of town residents to get lockers. But again, that's another administrative failure from a couple of years ago. It's gonna be hard to fix it now, to go back and say, hey, you paid for your locker, you can't have your locker. In Spring Lake, the lockers are only for Spring Lake residents. They don't use the beach money. They use separate funds, to Mr. Cannon's point. So once you intermingle those funds or whatever, it changes, you know, the whole situation. So I think it is unfortunate for Bradley residents that out of towners were ever allowed to get lockers, but again, we're fixing a lot of stuff. Thank you.
We'll put it on the list. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Yes,
President, should I cover that now?
we'll do it when we get to it. I think he has concerns addressed. Yes, Rick. Luann, you're next, okay? I see you. I'm sorry.
Rick Bartholomew, 116 Newark. Just aside to this, are there any plans to build any more lockers?
At this point, I think we have almost 600 lockers. Biagio, our public works director, is here.
How you doing?
Good.
We have 198, which times 3 comes up with the amount that you said. It's up to you guys if you want to build more. I mean, you know,
One of the
space-
challenges too is where to store it.
Correct.
Well, I know. And I think it's Ocean Road, they have some of the lockers up against the promenade. I know. From what I heard, people didn't want that here because they're afraid kids would jump on it, go over the barricades and jump on it and stuff like that. But I don't know how much that is an issue, we can certainly could be, and that, you know, some other ones could be placed there if the decisions to be made. That's all.
Yeah, it's the storage, in the winter time, there's not a lot of places to store these lockers, they have to clear them off the beach for hurricane
DEP
purposes.
is cracking down on storing stuff on the beach, aren't they? And they don't want stuff on the
Yeah,
beach
so
during hurricane season, so that's the
have
other
to
thing too, is
find
a lot of towns have had trouble finding places to put a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but thank you, I'll take that in consideration. Luann, yeah, come on out.
Hello, everyone. Luann Bartlett. My husband and my son and I own Murray's Uniform.
I'm just seeing your address to the
On
place.
312 Main Street. What do you need my home address?
It's up to
Um,
Erica.
That's
fine. Okay, good. That's
Do you need
fine.
my home address?
No, that's perfect.
All right, I'm here regarding Darcy's Tavern, and they're requesting special permits for Sunday, the day of the Belmont Parade. It's not even the Bradley Beach Parade. But I did talk to Matt this morning, and I am a little confused, because right now, they were given a letter by the town that says, as of Monday the 17th, everything that is stored in their parking lot has to be down. So it is, what's today, the 18th, 19th, and everything's still up. So if you're gonna grant them permission, is everything still gonna stay up for the next 2 weeks? What I wanna know is, when is it coming down? Can I get an answer when and also, are they being fined? It says here in the letter that they're gonna get fined.
Correct. So, as we discussed,
Sorry to put you on
no,
the,
no, no,
okay,
has a code enforcement officer.
correct.
And it's their responsibility to enforce code violations. And they issued them a letter. And it's up to the code enforcement officer to follow up on that. If Darcy's or any other business does not cure the violation that they've been cited for. So the code enforcement officer knows this. Obviously, we drive by.
He's not here today?
It's still up. He's not here tonight, but he is here today. It's one of the changes we made. We now have someone working full-time
Okay,
on code enforcement. Is one of the things I was gonna mention during my report. But we are going to enforce the
fines,
zoning
whatever.
ordinances, the
Mhm.
fines, everything will be enforced. Much like a police officer, a code enforcement officer has discretion. You know, I cannot compel them to do anything.
Yeah,
But we do trust them and they're hired to do their job. And I can assure you that the gentleman who hired Tim Murray will do his job.
okay, and for the record,
And then just the property owner has been in contact with us and cooperative. So it's not like they haven't been in contact, I mean,
but
that
it's
kind of thing.
cooperative, but the stuff is still up.
Well, so I have to say this, the special events permit that's been submitted by the property owner is an acknowledgement of the borough's position that the tents that are there now are not authorized, right?
The buildings, everything are not authorized.
No, and that's what the zoning violation was for. So you have to understand, zoning pertains to permanent structures, and those had become permanent structures,
Correct.
concrete and stuff.
Yeah,
And so that violation notice has been issued, and the property owner is entitled to 30 days to remediate that zoning violation, which has expired today.
mhm.
The gentleman has been in contact, and the borough's position is that, just like any other business, if you want to do something that's temporary and an event for a particular occasion, that's why we have the special event permit. So the notion that the property owner has submitted the special event permit is an acknowledgement that the borough's position as to the zoning is correct, because they're seeking
We
permission
hope.
to do that now, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to put that out there, because I don't want it to be seen
Right.
like the cooperator hasn't been cooperative or acknowledged the borough's position, or isn't cooperating with what we asked him to do, which was, if you want to do something, you have to submit the permit just like every other business.
Yeah.
And that's what he did here tonight. So I want to put that context on this, and we'll see if the tents disappear, they don't, and the court process will take place. if necessary. But I wanted to put that out there because, the second speaker that came up and, I felt like the property owner is being defiant, and that is not,
Right.
that is not the case.
That's
I
what
can
I'm
tell you.
saying. And on the record, I love business in Bradley Beach. I've been here for over 40 years, okay? And when they went for their variance to add upstairs, I was all for it. If they only would have taken that thing down from November to May, I wouldn't be up here. But to have that parking lot sit empty all winter, when all our businesses on Main Street, there's other business people here, we don't have parking. Parking is a premium in this town. And I cannot believe that no one gave fines that thing sat there all winter for 5 years. Enough is enough.
It was authorized.
It's zoned as a parking lot, and that's what it is, a parking lot. That's what it should be.
Okay,
Thank you.
Greg, would you mind giving that clarification that I think you were about to give, just by way of like what the state had said?
So because of COVID, the state had allowed bars to extend their premises outside. Frankly, to this day, that's actually authorized by the ABC. It's not authorized by the zoning of the town, as you pointed out, you were there for the hearing. That led to the approvals as to what the building is now. What you have to understand from the government's perspective, us sitting up here, is that this is a property rights issue. I take it you're a neighbor of the tavern, right? And so that is what the zoning is designed to do. And the special events permit is also designed to do, to let you know, as the property owner. Right, and then you know what's going on so that there's a public notice and then you have your say. So, I will mention it, like the property owner could have a reaction to a notice of violation. It's perfectly fine to submit a land use application to then legalize whatever that setup is. And that's when you get your, just like you were there last time. So that's what we're trying to set up. We're not trying to take some, neighbor side in the zoning issue. We're trying to make sure that the process is done properly. So you have your say, the property owner has their due process and that sort of thing. But the borough has taken action to enforce the approval that you apparently sat and saw them give last time. That's what's cited in that notice of violation.
In violation right now of the last code. They were allowed to build the second floor. That was their outdoor dining.
Yes,
So, and with the COVID.
and the borough shares that position.
I'll give you a couple of years. I went to the mayor 2 years ago, and the mayor said to me, oh, the governor. No, it's the council's decision. It's not the
Well,
governor's
there's
decision.
been a new mayor here for a couple months, or actually 6 weeks, and there's already been a notice of violation issued week 2.
They're listening to me because it's not fair. They were showing special preference to one business in Bradley Beach, just one. And all of us were suffering. We had, people had to change their hours. Lost business, wages. It's not fair, it really isn't. To
Well,
the rest of
all
us.
I can talk about is today, and you've seen the process issued, and us take action based on the zoning approval, everything you just said, right, is happening.
Thank you.
So that's all we can do for you, and I'm sorry it's not down today, but that is what the maximum is, and that is the position of the borough that this permanent
As long
structure
as
come
the
down.
borough is on top of it and whatever, if they have to be fined, whatever, because I know if it was me, they'd be coming after me.
But like that said,
Saying.
we don't tell the code enforcer what to do, but a notice of violation has been issued
You
and
don't tell
expired.
them what to do.
But they have,
If you have policies, procedures. and
I'm
codes-
sorry, so you can't just call out, all right? I understand you're
I
angry, but
apologize.
we're trying to help you.
State your
so
name and
come on.
your address, and you're more than welcome to speak.
Stephen Bartlett, 312 Main Street. If you guys have policy, procedures and codes. Are we dealing with like a qualified immunity thing for code enforcement where he has discretion? If it's written down in black and white, is it the town's position and also your position that what is written down doesn't really mean anything until the discretion of the guy enforcing it? I'm
I
confused.
think you're totally misunderstanding.
No. Okay, then please explain it to me. If the code enforcement has discretion when it comes to enforcing code, and the code says if 310 Main Street can't have their upstairs dining with a parking lot that is required for 18 spaces, granted, well, spare you the details of how it should be 36 due to the occupancy. What is the discretionary reason from the code enforcement and or the town or somebody with some perceived position of authority? Where do they get off? what is the reason for discretion when it comes to this? If the code is written and there's a violation that's clearly there, what is the discretion for enforcement?
The discretion isn't about enforcement itself. Think about a police officer, right? Police officers, when they pull you over, they have discretion. If you were speeding and they meet with
Right.
you, they don't have to give you a summons. They have discretion.
Correct.
In the case of Darcy's, because that's obviously what we're talking about, a notice of violation was issued back in the middle of January sometime. They were given 30 days to cure it. 30 days expired yesterday. The question is, do they start fining them on the first day after? Well, that's really discretion of the code enforcement. So as the attorney said, the ownership of Darcy's has not ignored things. They haven't blown us off. Have they done it as quickly as that said? No, it hasn't, obviously, because you can go there and see it. If they do bring it down, what we are looking for with code is compliance. We're not looking to necessarily fine people and harm them financially. We're looking for them to become compliant with the existing zone. So if we can do that and he has to get a couple extra days, that's at the discretion of the code enforcement. I'm not telling the code enforcement officer, hey, give him an extra week, give him an extra 2 weeks.
Right.
But I'm also not telling them, hey, start hammering them with summonses on day.
I understand.
That's his
That's-
discretion.
Nor did we tell him to issue the notice of violation. We said to him, this is the report, here's the situation, here's the approval, you go take a look at it.
Right.
And he looked at that and he
Right.
said, that's a
I
violation.
understand
And
that.
he-
Now,
right.
with the permit for the parade, how can that be considered in a parking lot that is in current violation of existing code? That's what I don't understand. They want a special permit to fill the parking lot again. But with the parking lot not being a parking lot, that's a violation of the current code. So it's like, it's confusing because they're already breaking the rules when it comes to the variance that was passed through all the proper procedures. And yet, it just kind of, okay, it's okay. It's just very confusing.
So zoning applies to permanent structures.
So,
And those things, what's out there right now is it's concrete in the ground, it's a permanent
Yeah.
structure, right?
and it
So
shouldn't be there.
that's a zoning violation.
Right,
If you wanted to set up temporary accommodations for a special event, whether you're a tavern or the breakfast place across
but
the
if they
street, wanted to
have
do
a
up and down the
permanent
side.
structure in the parking lot, who and what is stopping them from going, hey, that's a permanent structure that shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be there at all, shouldn't have been there for a very long time, but it's still there. So it's like, I get the discretion, whatever, but it's just still there, and it's like, is somebody gonna make a move? Like, what's the
So
next?
we've already made our move, we made the notice of
And now it's
violation.
on the property owner to make
The ball is the property owner's
Right.
court for 30 days, and now it's back in our court as of
30
today,
days from the initial,
for the notice of violation. that
right,
was
which was
issued.
yesterday. So
Correct.
now it's past the 30 days.
Correct.
Property owners can be cooperative to whatever.
Matt is
degree.
going to call the code enforcement officer tomorrow, or the new code enforcement officer, and tell them, here's expired notice of violation, this is a public interest.
Fair
And
enough.
they're gonna go out there and they're gonna decide what to do
Fair enough.
specifically.
Thank you.
That makes sense?
Thank you.
Hope that helped to explain it. We're
It
trying,
did.
we have the same position that you do. We're not telling you that you're wrong, that what's out
Right.
there is a zoning violation. We've already sent the property owner a letter telling him that. But we also just can't run out there and rip it down, just like you wouldn't want us, ripping down your garage or something on your
If it's
property.
not in violation.
Yeah, no, my point is, the property owner gets due process, so we can't run over that either, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All right, we're gonna go on to introduce a new ordinance, 2025-10. This is an ordinance amending chapter 123, beachfront areas and adjacent waters of the borough's revised general ordinances to prohibit the subletting or assignment of beach locker rentals. This is a little housekeeping. In the current lease that you sign for your locker, it tells you not to sublet it. It wasn't reflected in the ordinance, so we're adding this to the ordinance. I would like to make a motion that we introduce ordinance 2025-10.
Can we have some discussion?
Absolutely.
I believe this is what the public comment was, that perhaps we shouldn't pass this, and that we should take this and rework this a little bit and address it. So perhaps we should table this.
Well, so I was about to say, my question is, this is just dealing with we're adding the thing about not like subletting your locker, okay? Point taken with tonight's comments, I mean, we can at another time, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Greg, but we can at another time. Take a look at the language of, you know, not.
I'm not sure you have to do that, because it's purposely left flexible, because B is the fees are set by resolution. So if you wanted to make clear that the initial fee is only upon the first rental, you could do that in the resolution setting the fees. So like the
Okay.
ordinance isn't specific, because you can see B says there's a resolution setting it all. So it says initial fee, annual rental fee, but you could make that clear in the annual ordinance that, hey, you know, if you already had one, it's not initiation, but we can make that clear, that's the way it's written.
Okay, so
That, and now it makes sense why Ms. Duffy was complaining that it's
So
not
we're
clear, it's
changing,
supposed to have
so
resolution.
we're changing the part of the ordinance that doesn't deal with the fees, and what the attorney is
Right.
saying is that in the part of the ordinance that does deal with the fee, it says we set them by annual resolution, so when we pass that annual resolution, that's when we can make it more clear that you shouldn't pay twice if you've already paid, and address that, and I think that makes a lot of sense, so, in my mind, I think it's okay to go ahead with this, because that makes sense to me now.
So I have one other question on this. It does state that in this resolution, it says, there's ordinance, it's only says renter and or immediate family.
We actually changed that.
Did they
Yeah, we took
change?
that out,
It's
yes.
in the packet.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm still there.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, I talked to Greg about that and he already has fixed that
Okay,
as well.
great.
Did you just?
Thank you for bringing it.
Good find though.
Yeah.
Not all vacation.
Yeah, they was on-
Apologize.
I should have let you know, but I'm sorry, but yeah, I did talk to Greg about that, actually, Sean. And I covered that with Greg.
Because the neighbor had actually offered for me to put a chair in. 'cause I don't
Right,
have a
and that's what I'm
locker.
saying, like, and then we all have that, you know, we send our friends up there, go sit up the chairs, and I'm like, I don't want, you know, it's with me,
Okay,
okay,
thank you.
so that's good. But I do think we should do more work on this ordinance in the future, but I do want to get the subletting into our ordinance.
And then we'll address the resolution, the other part of the issue with the resolution.
Definitely, okay, great.
You'll remember that, right?
So do I have a second to approve the introduction of ordinance 2025-10?
Second,
Ms. DeNoble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
yes.
Mayor Gubatosi excused.
Okay, next, we're gonna have a couple adoptions of ordinances. 2025-8, an ordinance establishing certain salaries of certain officers and employees of the Borough of Bradley Beach in the County of Monmouth and the State of New Jersey, and repealing any and all other ordinances inconsistent herewith. I'd like to make a motion to open this for public comment.
Are we,
Right?
will we do that, do we have a public comment
Yes.
first?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to make a motion to
Okay,
open
right, okay.
public comment. and then make a
That's
motion.
why I was like, wait, make sure she's doing it right.
We're
Right.
Please bear with us, yes.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi excused.
Are there any comments from the public? Ms. Dudley?
On this ordinance, right?
Linda Duffy, 312 Brindley, I was kind of like nervous, so you didn't open public comments for the lockers again?
Because that was an intro.
Oh, thank you, okay, only because I didn't understand this, because people that have rental houses, a lot of them have lockers.
Right, that's why we took out that one sentence, because they can, it goes with the residents.
Okay, because I didn't see that initially.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
If you want to talk more about it, feel free to call me or Matt.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
okay, definitely. Okay, thank you. So, and anybody can call me, like, everybody has my cell number, just call me with any questions. Okay, so any other public comments on ordinance 2025-8? Okay, I'm gonna close the public comments and make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-8.
Adopt.
Adopt.
Thank you. No problem, sorry. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi excused.
Next, we have ordinance 2025-9, an ordinance amending chapter 24, commissions and committees, and chapter 270, land development, and chapter 425, trees of the borough revised general ordinances to enhance the operations and regulations of the borough's shade tree commission. I'd like to make a motion to open to the public for comment.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Kubatosi excused.
Any public comment? I will make a motion, we close the public comment and adopt ordinance 2025-9.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Well, I will say yes, and I will also mention that there was further discussion about the shade-free ordinance. And the, potentially in the future, really kind of having the Shade Tree Commission sit down and rework how best to articulate the separation of the Shade Tree Commission from the enforcement, because the lines are a little bit blurred still. And I think that's very important, that the Shade Tree Commission be an entity that serves to benefit the community with the treescape, but not the arm of enforcement. And I think that's really not clear at this point.
Well, we did change it from fines and assessments to fees and assessments, which they are currently doing. Fines are the responsibility of the code office.
Right.
So we changed that. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm voting in favor of this, yes.
Great.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Kubatosi excused.
Okay, next we have communications, and I'll just go through each one. This is from Mayor Kubatosi in reference to the employee healthcare waiver. Employee healthcare waiver established of $2,500, not available if spouse is also enrolled in state plan. The goal is to provide incentive for employees to take coverage with their spouse's plan and reduce the costs of our healthcare plan. Potential savings could exceed $30,000. Next, on the fair share housing development fees. This is effective February 1st, 2025. This ordinance is consistent with municipalities across New Jersey that participate in affordable housing. This ordinance and trust has existed for multiple years, but was never activated. This is the determination to make effective immediately was the decision of the mayor to ensure maximum compliance in support of affordable housing as we move forward. Fees collected will be used to advance the borough's affordable housing goals, to purchase properties and renovate housing. Next, the mayor shared with us a memo or a communication on alternate side of the street parking. Concerns were raised by residents, and these rules are intended to protect our residents and make sure that our DPW can clear our streets. The borough will be enforcing this, and the threat of accumulation of snow, no specific number of inches, will trigger enforcement. Next, we talked about this earlier, the strategic task force community volunteers. The volunteers for commissions have been shared with the commission chairpersons. There's been a lot of task force volunteers signing up. This is wonderful. We have a lot of people volunteering and they are being assigned. Mayor Kubatosi was going to do the assignments this week, but as you know, he's out of town and he plans to reach out to each volunteer separately as soon as he is able. And then next, the removal of freeze on beach locker waiting list. It is in response to concerns raised by many residents who were frustrated because new signups were not being accepted. Now they can add their names and they can check their status on the community pass. And of course, subletting lockers is not allowed and could result in the loss of the use of your locker, which we covered earlier. And then, let's see, 319 Lorraine Avenue. I have an update. We did identify an auctioneer. We received a proposal. I will be reviewing the proposal with each council member in the next 2 weeks. We hope to have the resolution for our next meeting. And I will reiterate, this will be done legally, respectfully, transparently, and inclusively. So now the residents will have an opportunity to own a piece of Bradley Beach history as well. And that completes my communication. Next, we go on to the consent agenda resolutions. We are going to table resolution 2025-90. We've been informed, we've been asked to table it. So I would like to make a motion. We'll start with that first, Erica?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we table 2025-90, approving the United Engine and Truck Company to apply for a coin toss permit. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Noble,
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt,
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi excused.
This is going, it was gonna be for July 4th, so they have time to come back and.
Yes, they do.
Yes, okay. So meanwhile, I would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda resolutions 2025-88 through 2025-93. Do I have a second?
Can I ask one question?
Absolutely.
Before we go forward?
Sure.
2025-92 authorizes the County of Monmouth Mosquito Control Division to conduct aerial mosquito control operations within the borough of Bradley Beach. Do we know if there's a need for the public to be
Okay.
advised of
Well,
that?
what happened, Matt and I discussed this today. I'm sorry to get back to you
That's okay.
sooner, but it's been a crazy day. But what that we do this every year, and if there is an event where there is a massive amount of mosquitoes, the county contacts the police to let them know that they're going to be coming and treating. They will be notified in advance if there is going to be treatment. I don't think there's been a treatment for years, but.
As long as I've been up
Yeah.
here,
There's
they
a
have-
reference to aerial.
But they,
Is
yeah, yeah.
that like a plane or?
Yeah, a plane or a helicopter, so they need, the county needs this before they can do that, but if there was like a outbreak of West Nile virus or something they were trying to deal with, they couldn't wait for a council meeting, so they need this now, as long as you're right, we do this every year,
Yes.
and, as far as I know, they've never done it, they need this. If they did spray,
So
they would
it's
get, the town would
emergency.
get notified.
So would the residents be notified if there was an aerial spray?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, that was what my
Yes,
question
yes,
was.
they will.
Okay.
Me and the mayor have a running joke with the solution. Same question, Shanna.
Okay.
So,
Right, we
with
get-
councilman.
She said she gets that one a lot. Okay,
Okay.
so, we had a second, did I say yes?
Is anybody gonna second for the rest of the
Second.
consent? Thank
Okay.
you. Mr. Noble, Ms.
Yes.
Greenblatt.
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki.
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi excused.
Next, we have individual resolutions. So we have 2025-94 audit corrective plan for 2022. I know Matt wanted to fill us in on this one real quick.
Yes, Council President. I know that, some folks have been asking about the corrective action plan for 2022. It's finally been done. We're trying to catch up on a lot of the financial issues that the borough has been facing over the last few years, that are well known to this council and to many members of the public here. This is one step in that process. There'll be more to come. But I will tell you that the way corrective action plans are written, they're written very briefly and without a whole lot of detail. That's by design, by our CFO, who I think a lot of you met and had the chance to interact with at the last meeting. He'll be coming back to additional meetings as well as we get more into the budget season. But it's our goal to clean up the finances as best as we can and be transparent with the public also as best as we can. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? All right, let's make a motion to approve 2025-94.
Second.
Mr. Noble,
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt.
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi excused.
Next, we have 2025-95, a resolution endorsing Revolution, New Jersey, and the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States in 2026. Shauna, you want to fill us in on that one?
So all of the municipalities are encouraged to participate in the 250th anniversary in 2026. And the first step is encouraging the municipalities to formulate a resolution and pass a resolution. And then there will be a liaison that's assigned, and the Bradley Beach will be participating in this celebration in whatever way, we determine is best for us.
Wonderful. So, okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve 2025-96.
Second.
Mr. Noble,
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt.
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi excused.
Next, we have 2025-96 Bradley Beach Business Community Alliance, 2025 Memorandum of Understanding Memorialization. Did I say that right?
Memorialization.
Thank you. Yeah, I missed a syllable in there. So, Mayor Gubatosi and Paula Gavin updated this memorandum. to best benefit our businesses and our residents. I think they did a great job, and I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2025-96.
Second. Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Enthusiastically, yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi excused.
Next, we have 2025-97, authorizing a refund of sewer overpayment for 115 Evergreen Avenue. I'd like to make a motion to approve this resolution.
Second.
Yeah, can I just,
Actually, it should be 510, and that's been corrected on the website.
Oh.
Sorry, I just didn't get a chance
I
to.
was about to,
Yeah, no, it's 510. I apologize. My brain was a little,
okay.
given the hour that I originally posted it.
Evergreen Avenue.
Okay, 510, not 115.
Correct.
Yes, 510.
Okay.
Good. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi excused.
Next, we're going to make a motion to table resolution 2025, approving a contract with Park Mobile LLC. Do I have a second to table this resolution?
Second.
Mr. Noble? Ms.
Yes.
Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi excused.
Next, 2025-99, approving a contract with Granicus to provide proprietary computer software and related support services for transient accommodation host compliance. Oh, okay, I'll get my act together, yeah. So you got the idea. So, any questions, comments on this? I'll make a motion to approve 2025-99.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi excused.
2025-100, approving a contract with Shore Business Solutions to provide copier, printer, hardware, and support services through a state-approved purchasing cooperative. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Mr. Administrator, is this different? This is different than what we had on the last meeting agenda, correct?
Correct.
So it's, this isn't an actual contract, it's just like to go through a state approved purchasing cooperative. But does that mean that we actually have a vendor and an amount and all that stuff? or-
Yes, this is a resolution authorizing me as your business administrator to execute the proposal that came through a state contract for copiers, printers, and the maintenance of it. And
Is
we're
that-
leasing the equipment.
Is that appearing on the bills list or is that going to appear on the future bill list?
That'll appear on the bills list, not today's bills list.
Okay, future one.
We haven't executed an agreement
Okay.
with them, but future bills list, yeah.
So do we know a dollar amount of this or it's not?
It should have been in your packet, yeah, it should be should have.
Oh, I only have the resolution up in here. Okay, you don't remember?
No.
Cause there was a very nice, we had like pictures and everything like that. I just don't remember seeing a dollar amount. Did anybody see a dollar amount? Well, actually, my question from last time was, do we know how many copiers?
How many copiers? We are adding a few because there was not one
Right.
in the community development that we
Right.
discussed, you and I. And also the police department is getting a new one because theirs was malfunctioning on a regular basis. So we're increasing the number of copiers overall,
Okay.
printer copies.
Right.
And scanners.
Yeah, that-
And then replacing the one in the main office.
Okay.
Well, I apologize, I thought you had it.
I
Okay,
sent it
so-
electronically with your electronic packet.
There's not, but there's not a dollar amount on that thing that you're looking at right now, Greg. There's not a dollar amount.
Yeah, it's $1,045.18 per month for 60 months.
But for each copy? No.
No.
The whole package, yeah.
Okay.
No, all of them
That
together.
includes the lease and the maintenance of the equipment.
How many months did it say?
60 months and up to
60.
25,000 pages a month, and then there's an overage rate.
Okay.
So it's an office copier.
Gotcha. Thank you for indulging me. I mean,
Absolutely.
I remember from last time, so were we in the middle of a second?
Yes.
I will second it.
Thank you. Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi excused.
Next is 2025-101, terminating qualified purchasing agent Kimberly Pumphrey for reasons of economy and efficiency. Any discussion? I'd like to make a motion to approve 2025-101.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi, excused.
Next is 2025-102, approving a professional service contract with PM Consultants LLC and appointing PM Consultants LLC as qualified purchasing agent at a cost not to exceed $10,000. I'd like to make a motion to approve 2025-102.
Can I interrupt you for just
Oh,
one
yes.
second? This resolution was updated to include the individual's name who's going to serve as the QPI. And that's not in the one that's sitting in front of you right here.
It's our current CFO.
No, it's not, Brenda Sprigman will be the named QPA. So this is approving a professional services contract of PM Consultants and appointing Brenda Sprigman of PM Consultants as the qualified purchasing agent. We need to name the person by name. We
Okay.
cannot have just a private company, so I just wanted to mention Brenda Sprigman, SPRIGMAN for the record. Thank you.
All right. And do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi, excused.
Next is 2025-103, authorizing the settlement of pending litigation before the Superior Court of New Jersey, Monmouth County, entitled Herrera Lopez et al. Versus Borough of Bradley Beach et al. Docket number MONL 180723. Do I have a motion to approve 2025-103?
Oh, I will make that motion. Did you need a motion or a second?
And I'll second.
I'll make a motion to, I like hear people talking, you're like,
Change it up.
Can we do something here? Okay, motion to approve, okay. 2025-103, second, and
Thank you. Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi, excused.
okay, next we have 2025-104. I am going to abstain from this one as I do have a conflict, and I'm gonna pass this off to Councilman Weber.
Sure, we've already had a lot of discussion about, Darcy's Tavern tonight. They are coming in for a special, permit. I just want to get some clarification first, because I hadn't driven by, so it sounds like from the discussion, the tent is still up. But the code enforcer's been there and it's, a brand new code enforcer who's gonna visit this property tomorrow, sounds like, right?
Correct, and when we say tent, it's the skeleton part of the tent.
Right, okay.
But there are other items on the property as well. There's a fence. So it's not simply the tent itself. There's a whole collection of other items that would have to also come down.
So, but are we assuming that that's all gonna come down and? Because, all right, on March 2nd, they're not looking to erect a tent or anything like that.
No.
It's just to use that space.
That's correct.
Okay.
That tent will not, no tent.
Okay.
I confirmed it. So I confirmed it,
Become
no
a
tent.
parking lot.
Right.
That's correct.
But
So-
correct me if I'm wrong, if they wanted to put up a temporary tent.
Right.
For their special event, they could.
Assuming they meet all the other fire and all the other requirements, yes.
Right.
Yeah, just like anyone else does, especially. The notion is that we told them, just putting it in layman's terms, we told them not allowed to have these permanent tents and fences and structures out here. So outside the scope of your approval for zoning. And the business owner, naturally, it's obviously an expanded premises makes more money. And wants to do this for special events, have special events at their business, like other businesses do in town. And we pointed out that that is okay, but not on a permanent basis, temporary basis. And if the traffic needs to be stopped, you have to pay the deposit like everyone else who has to spend. They're paying a $2,500 deposit to cover any police coverage or any other things that are needed, just like any other business that has this thing. And they seem amenable to that at this moment. I don't know why the tent isn't down today, but we'll find out tomorrow, it looks like.
So my main question is, we've heard from the business community along Main Street. And I guess the concern is that they delay and this remains up for the next 2 weeks till the 2nd, so they can use this facility on the 2nd. So is there a way for us to tie this resolution that contains their ability, their compliance with meeting the zoning? And
I
then
prefer to keep the two tracks
keep
separate.
two separate.
Yeah, I'd rather not tie them together. I don't want to make it look the governing body's influencing the code enforcement officer. To do one thing or another, but you know, look, obviously it's an issue of importance. You have multiple residents here complaining. I don't suspect that if that tent is up in 2 weeks, that the property, the process is gonna get a ticket and have to appear in municipal court.
Alright, so then fines would come into play potentially.
Municipal, yeah, I mean, typically the prosecutor says, what are you doing? Take down the tent and pay a fine.
And
Now that you had to come in here, you have to pay a fine too. Yeah, that's usually, you know, that's the next step of enforcement. You know, beyond that, you know, you have a municipal judge who is gonna, if there's conviction, issues a sentencing up to $2,000 fine for each violation. And it goes from there. In the worst, absolute worst case scenario. And I don't want to say that this is gonna happen here because the property owner has not been defiant and has been reasonably cooperative to date. You know, you go to court and you know, I've had to do it here to remove elevated decks and other zoning violations that I need to do with businesses. But that's the ultimate. We want to avoid that.
Right.
Right, because that means that you're forced to take, that means that we've gotten to the point in the process where the government is now on one of the neighbor's sides and is going, and because that's the point, it's been reached. We try to avoid that at all costs, obviously.
What we don't want is the perception that we're giving tacit approval.
No, I don't want anyone to leave here with the notion that we thought that this was okay, or someone was turning a blind eye to this. They did have an extension permit. You guys had authorized the relaxation of zoning under the state of emergency, but the state of emergency is gone now. And the ABC permit is a separate regulation that has nothing to do with your zoning. And so, you know, that's where we're at. You know, it wasn't someone, you know, it wasn't a favor being done here. The person did have legitimate legal reasons why he could have that property owner could have that tent up, but those don't exist anymore.
Right, and we also want to be cooperative with our businesses on a temporary basis, meeting the requirements.
Zoning is always the
it's a
toughest
separate
area,
issue.
right? If you don't pay your taxes, it's very simple. Everyone else paid them and everyone's upset with you. In zoning, maybe you think this is okay, maybe your neighbor doesn't. It's a different animal, so everyone has to have their due process. And you know, in the end, you know, after all that adjudication is done, you know, the end result is that the local government is on one neighbor's side or the other, because that's how it's been adjudicated. And then, you know, we try to avoid that though, for multiple reasons, expense of litigation and other things, but.
Okay, and one other thing, Greg, the fines for the situation that's there now, those could be like per diem, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, potentially, so just so everybody knows, code enforcer doesn't fine anybody, the code enforcer is the person that would say to the judge, you know, this is the situation, it was corrected or wasn't.
A good analogy is a police officer signs your speeding ticket.
Yeah.
The code enforcement officer signs your zoning violation, but you end up in the same place. This guy's speeding, sitting right next to you in court, and the judge deals with all of it here. I hope we don't get to that point, but that's the process from here.
Okay, so on resolution 2025-104, which is a resolution approving Darcy's Tavern to serve outdoor food and beverage in its parking lot on Sunday, March 2nd, 2025 for the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Belmar St. Patrick's Day Parade, I would say. I will make a motion to approve this resolution. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Noble?
Abstain.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubertozzi excused.
Next is 2025-105, the bill is for February 18th, 2025. I would like to make a motion to approve 2025-105.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubertozzi excused.
Next is 2025-82, authorizing award of professional engineering services with CME Associates for Fifth Avenue sanitary sewer replacement. This was previously tabled on February 4th, 2025. I'm going to throw this over to Councilman Nowicki.
Thank you. So as brought up by TJ Cohn, questioning this during the open comment period. So the situation was this: back in December, a contract was awarded to Fernandez Construction to line the sewer from from Main Street to Fletcher Lake Road. Basically that 600 block, 500 block of Fifth Avenue. And then also included in that was resurfacing of that street of Fifth Avenue from Fletcher Lake down to Madison. because the street from on the 600 block had already been resurfaced by American Water when they did a water replacement. When I saw this back in January, it was a flag because all the documents that I reviewed, said that we were gonna replace all the sewers. So when I went back and looked at the previous resolution, somehow that got through, that there was a consideration to do a lining versus replacement. But the commitment to the borough, all streets were going to have replaced sewers. So basically what we've decided was, in order to do it the right way, that we needed to stop that contract for Fernandez Construction, delayed, I should say, and remove the lining from that contract and delay the notice of proceed for the resurfacing of Fifth Avenue. We've also asked, which this particular resolution is for CME to provide us the cost of the engineering work to actually replace the sewer main from Main Street down to Madison. And then Fernandez Construction, then we will advertise that in the near future, scheduling the construction hopefully after school's out, so we won't disrupt the school schedule on Fifth Avenue in Brindley. And be able to then, once that's completed through the summer months, be able to resurface that road. And that will be our completion of that particular piece of Fifth Avenue. The next resolution after that, and I'll just go on to that just to say it. That was a new grant that we received from the DOT for the resurfacing of the rest of Fifth Avenue from Madison to Ocean Avenue. And then we would also not line that sewer, but we will also do the design work to replace the sewer all the way to Ocean Avenue. And there's also additional money to advance, I should say, the contract on Park Place Avenue. Last summer, we did a section of Park Place Avenue replacement. And so there will be money in this particular contract to do the design of that next piece of Park Place Avenue down to Madison. And again, depending on the survey and everything else, what the limits of that construction will be, we will provide that information once we start to do the engineering. So basically, we're correcting something that was almost advanced of a lining, which is not what was promised with the residents. And we are going to do a full replacement of that sewer. And we will continue that program as we go forward, a full sewer replacement for the rest of the system on the remaining streets as we go forward in the future.
And Paul, the contractor Fernandez, they were okay with that change that you just.
Correct.
Okay.
And we're hopeful that, he'll participate in bidding that next section of that work for that sewer replacement as well. So, but yes, they were cooperative in our ability to do that. Our CME has also identified that there is less money to be spent on that existing contract for that resurfacing. So we're working that out as well with, back through Matt's office to make sure that we're balancing the books on the work that's to be done, the scope, and making sure that and that's all reflected in these two proposals.
And just to be clear, also, the sewer infrastructure maintenance plan is targeted to head north along the streets of Bradley Beach. So Park Place, those few blocks were more an emergency situation with a problem. And I think that's the reason that we're also considering that additional block on Park Place.
Yes, because we've already began Park Place.
Right.
So we want to complete Park Place in its entirety and then move on to the next road, which
And
is
then
not.
we'll double back.
Correct.
Right.
And again, these are the borough roads. We also have, Ocean Avenue, Main Street, which is Main Street's DOT. Ocean Ave is the county, and also, Brindley is also county road. So those, we have to coordinate with those other entities. And so this is sort of, we're marching down through the town to take care of these streets.
And so likely the portion from, is it Madison to Ocean Avenue will take place in the fall?
So the design will begin here. And then depending on the availability of coordination, we probably would not want to do that construction until the fall at the earliest. It could turn into spring, but we don't have that construction schedule yet.
Right, we just don't want to infringe on the summer on the area that's closer to the ocean.
Correct, correct. So that's gonna be coordinated, and this actually ends up working out well with the school, because we'll be able to have school out and minimize disruption as we come down Fifth Avenue.
Wonderful. Okay. Good. I'd like to make a motion to approve 2025-82.
Second?
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi excused.
2025-83, authorizing award of professional engineering services with CME Associates for NJDOT improvements on Fifth Avenue, Phase 2, and Park Place Avenue, previously tabled February 4th, 2025. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi excused.
Next is announcements. We have none. And next we have the administrator report.
Oh,
You're up, Matt.
A few things to report back on. Tonight, we're gonna go into an executive session. I'm gonna brief the members of the council on negotiations so far with local 152. It's our hope that the members of local 152 will vote on the deal sometime next 2 weeks, and that'll give us enough time to come back to the council to vote in public on March 4th, a new agreement with local 152. But I'll be briefing them today on the details of it in executive session. I wanted to give a shout out to my hometown of Belmar for being gracious and coming to the Bradley Beach with their police officers to assist me and the chief here, and also accommodating me and the director of public works as well. We're trying to fine tune as much as possible the operations of both the police department and Department of Public Works, and our friends in Belmar have been very helpful. I also want to give a big thank you to the Neptune Department of Public Works, who have been very helpful to Director Cafone and the DPW here. It really goes to show how important these relationships are. So when you have a good chief of police and a good DPW director, they're able to leverage resources in other communities to the benefit of the folks in Bradley Beach. And in return, like for instance, on March 2nd, when there's the Belmar Lake Como St. Patrick's Day Parade, you'll see members of the Bradley Beach Department of Public Works and members of the Bradley Beach Police Department also in Belmar assisting them as well. So it's great for the residents to know that your directors of the departments have good relationships with other directors in other towns as well. Want to mention, I mentioned the last time I was here, we want to have a report about Jazz Fest. Unfortunately, Amy Hall's not able to be here today, but she will be here hopefully at the next meeting. But by all accounts, it seemed to be a resounding success. Even got on the front page above the fold in that illustrious weekly newspaper, the Co-Star. So I want to congratulate Amy on doing a great job. Also, two more things. We've been working with JCP&L on some of the poles on Main Street. If you notice, particularly in the northern end, there are some poles that look like, you know, with the wind the last couple of days that they were gonna come over. So it's taken a little bit of time, and we're working with Department of Transportation as well to get those poles replaced, not fixed, but completely removed and replaced. At that time, because the amount of electricity those poles carry, there may be some interruptions in service in the very localized area around those poles, and we'll notice primarily the business owners on Main Street ahead of time. And lastly, and one of the things that we want to try to get more notice of is positions of employment here at the borough. So we have a part-time violations clerk position open in the court. It pays $20 an hour, and it's 3 days a week. So it's open to everyone, but we always want to make sure that the residents know about these positions as well. That's all for me, Council President. Any questions from the council for me? No?
Just want to comment that the Jazz Festival was amazing, amazing.
It was kind of fun, yes.
And
Thank
I'm
you.
glad that you're making friends because we've been hearing about the leaning poles of Main Street for years. So
Yeah.
You're making friends, Matt. Not me, I don't complain about things like that, but some people have mentioned it. so-
But we do have to give kudos to Mayor Gubitosi as well. I think he was very persuasive with that replacement as well. So kudos to him as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
He doesn't take no for an answer, so that was good.
And also just a reminder, I have my business cards up here, they have my cell phone on, don't feel like you need to wait to come to a council meeting. If there's any issues or concerns on your mind, please give me a call or email me, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks.
Okay, okay, thank you very much, Mr. Doherty. Next, we have the mayor and council reports. We'll start with Councilman Middleton.
I have a very short report. Basically, I just wanted to invite, residents out to the Sylvan Lake Commission meeting tomorrow. It's here in this very room, 6 o'clock. And, they'll be speaking about the various projects and status of those. But yeah, everybody's welcome to come to that meeting, if you're interested in what's going on around the lake. And that's my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Greenblatt.
Okay. The Arts Council met on February 7th. They're in the process now of outreach to individuals who've been identified for membership. There are 5 spots open and a plan to add 2 alternates. We are hopeful to solidify the membership within the next few weeks and submit the membership to the mayor for appointment. The council will also be reaching out to all of those who expressed interest in the Arts Council and organize them by arts interest. These volunteers will serve as advisors and play an integral role in the Arts Council programming. The next meeting of the Arts Council is Friday, February 28th. Fletcher Lake Commission met on Thursday, February 13th. This was their first meeting of the year. The commission will plan its reorganizational meeting in March and approve its membership and terms. They have also approved the receipt of funds reimbursed by the Bradley Borough for 2024. This includes the yearly stipend and reimbursement for boost control services. The commission noted that there are many violators of the prohibition of electric vehicles on the bridge and have asked that the sign currently on the Bradley side be replaced with a larger sign. This has been conveyed to the administration. The Ocean Grove side does not currently have signage about this issue, and Neptune's Mayor Lane is initiating the same. He serves also on the Fletcher Lake Commission. In the coming months, the bridge will be stained to create a better barrier to protect the natural wood. They will select a transparent stain with a low tint, color yet to be determined. Both the Bradley and Neptune sides are initiating a contract with Mike Campbell of Galaxy Geese for the year ahead. And the next commission meeting is scheduled for Thursday, March 13th at 6 p.m. The rec committee met Monday, February 10th. Their bylaws were amended and approved unanimously by its board. Only minor changes were made. The Silver Ball Arcade Middle School event, originally scheduled for this Thursday, will be postponed due to anticipated inclement weather. I believe the forecast has since changed, but in any case, possible rescheduled dates are Thursday, March 6th in the evening or Friday, March 14th daytime, as there is no school that day. Details to follow. Radio Bingo, which takes place Saturday, March 8th at 7 p.m. is a sold-out event. It is being co-sponsored with the Ladies Auxiliary and the Fire Department. Please be advised that it will take place at the Fire Hall, adjacent to the fire station and behind the Biazzi Center. A reminder that Mahjong continues to meet every Friday at the Biazzi Center from 1 to 3 p.m. Open Rec is on Thursdays and Fridays for kids who do their homework, play games, get crafty, and watch movies after school. Thursdays till 6 p.m. and Fridays till 7. The next senior club meeting is on February 26th from 12 to 3 at the Biazzi Center. The rec department will be hosting a monthly bowling club to begin in March. No first date yet set, but it will be run one Wednesday evening per month, 6 to 8 p.m. $10 per person, includes shoes and unlimited bowl. There will be a student drop-off associated with this event at the rec center, enabling parents an evening out. Grammar age students can expect movies, popcorn, and fun under the supervision of adults. Summer camp 2025 enrollment begins in mid-March. Bradley Beach residents get a week of priority and specific dates will be announced soon. The next rec board meeting is Monday, March 10th at 6:30 p.m. at the rec center. And that concludes my long report.
Beautiful, thank you. Councilman Whitmer.
Thank you. I'll read the first aid squad report, for the period ending today, February 18th. The squad responded to 10-day calls and 5 night calls for 15 calls. 10 were medical, 5 were for fire calls. The squad is pleased to announce our newest addition, to our ambulance, which is 8856, a stricter starcher power lift. I don't really know what that means. A stricker, starcher, a power lift. Striker? Okay, it's got a CK instead of a K, but okay, striker. Somebody knows better than me. Power lift. This will help the squad prevent back injuries by hydraulically lifting our patients onto the ambulance. It is also safer for our patients as the stretcher is locked to a track, preventing it from dropping. The squad welcomes our newest member, Sith Castillo. There were no out-of-town mutual aid requests. The squad requested no mutual aid for this operational period. They fulfilled 100% of their assignments for this period. And as always, they're looking for volunteers, for qualified individuals. There is free training. You want to do this, you can find an application on the borough's website. And they are accepting applications for their cadet program for young people 16 to 18 years of age who are interested in serving their community. For the rest, I will say Jazz Fest was really great. Initially, I was like, why are we doing a tourism thing in the middle of winter, whatever? It was awesome. I only went one night and I heard both nights were awesome. So kudos to everybody that had something to do with that. Hope that happens again. Quite frankly, it was really good. The Bradley Beach Environmental Commission continues to work on Sustainable Jersey. They're gonna have, I'm gonna have the date of their next meeting, so I'm not gonna bother guessing at that. But they continue to work on Sustainable Jersey, like I said, which is a system where we accumulate points for doing good environmental things. And I think by the end of the month, they're gonna tell Sustainable Jersey what we're going for, and then for the rest of the year, we're actually gonna document all those actions that we're doing that are good for the environment and get those points and become yet again a sustainable Jersey town. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman. The Board of Ed has a meeting this evening, so I'll report on that next meeting. The Bradley Beach Shade Tree Commission had a meeting on February 5th. There was one application at 510 Monmouth Avenue to remove one tree and replace it with one tree. They established staggered terms for their members. And their current balance of their account is $14,736. The tourism had a meeting February 11th. It reviewed the Bradley Beach Jazz Festival, which I'll cover in a short time, and they had a couple of resolutions. They're gonna be in the Monmouth County Guidebook this year, and their current balance in their trust is $77,181.86. And I just wanted to give a massive thank you to Amy Hall for running the Jazz Fest 2025. It was a brilliant idea. And it was a resounding success, and it's a testament to Amy's vision and dedication. She put countless hours into making this event a success, and we're all so grateful for her efforts. And the music was amazing, the atmosphere was fantastic, and she had wonderful sponsors that helped contribute to this wonderful event: Ohana Rising, Darcy's Tavern, New Jersey American Water, Rappaport Flooring, Seawall Architecture, Posh Real Estate, Monmouth County Tourism, and Luna Verde. And she also had some wonderful volunteers, including Jane DeNoble, Shauna Greenblatt, Julie Natitis, Adelie Hall, Georgie Eckert, Olivia Davidson, Mo Jensen, Lieutenant Josephine Solaro. She had the Bradley Beach Elementary School students would help people find their chairs. It was very cute, and they helped them upstairs. Also, the custodians were helping, Ed and Phil, Dr. Heidelberg, and Morgan McCleary Gonzalez was also volunteering. And of course, Anthony Leprado. He is the musical genius at Bradley Beach Elementary School, and he was amazing. It just was a magical evening, and we look forward to it again next year. And we're even talking about bringing some jazz players in during this summer, since it was such a big hit. So that completes my report. So at this time, I would like to welcome the public with any questions or comments. Jeff, come on up.
Jeff Curtis, 202 Third Avenue in Brighton Beach. I want to talk a little bit about round 4 and the affordable housing. I want to know if the city's going to be transparent about what has to be done. And I'm going to just raise 3 issues tonight. There are a lot of questions and concerns that a group of us working on the affordable housing have about how Bradley Beach has participated in remaking the process over the last decade. So a report was produced in 2017 that several of you were sitting on, adopted, that should have created a housing trust fund. It didn't create the fund, it didn't. So to say that we're gonna go forward now and by June have another fair share housing plan, we need to know if there's gonna be any teeth in it this time. Or whether we're just gonna play the game that we're gonna create a document, but we don't really mean what we say in the document. As a result of not having a housing trust fund, we've been designated that we have 64 substandard units of housing, which we don't know yet whether we agree to that or not. But if we do have substandard units of housing, we don't have any money to help senior citizens or poor people in town to fix up the house. And therefore, they're going to be subject to a developer who wants to come in and buy the house and develop it or turn it into Airbnb, and we're going to lose that affordable housing unit. Because we have not been responsible in what we have done with affordable housing today. And 3 of you, as I said, were on that document that was created. I want to know if the council is willing to reveal what in their next step, in the February step, what are you telling Fair Share Housing you're objecting to, or you want to change the numbers of the 6430? If you're gonna change those numbers, are we gonna be allowed as the public to know how the planner is arguing that? Or whether the planner is just gonna do it in secret again? And is the process gonna be open and is it gonna be transparent? We also wanna understand whether the code official even knows the substandard housing in this town. And will that be made public so that we can get together and figure out how to help people who are living in some substandard housing get access to funds? They need a new boiler, or they need a new roof, or they need something else. We have the capability to be able to get it to them. That is not in place right now. And so finally, in this round, the town is supposed to identify a person that is going to monitor the affordable housing units. So that if they get created, they're going to be staying affordable housing. We're not going to get stuck like we got in Asbury Park, where money was given to some people under that guise. They turned it into Airbnbs. And, you know, lo and behold, we lost affordable housing. So those are my questions for tonight. I hope we can be transparent, and I hope the city will respond to requests of information when we need to understand on behalf of the public what's going on with affordable housing in this town. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I, Jeff, before you leave, if I may, Council President, Greg, can you help answer this question? Because, you know, the question is about, you know, saying the planner is doing something in secret. I mean, my understanding is that the planner sort of, it's a negotiation right now between our planner and Fair Share Housing or the state
No.
as far as the number of units now.
No, I saw the old process.
Okay,
So we already accepted those numbers, at our last meeting in January, because the deadline to do so is January 31st. They're published on the DCA's website and our resolution accepting them. The planner now has to create a housing plan and element to satisfy those numbers. There is no more negotiating or arguing with Fair Share over what the obligation is. That was the entire last process. Now, there'll be we've agreed to the numbers, so we're not challenging them. And the goal now is for our planner to go through. So you have to remember, those are done with the state formula. And, you know, I'll give you an example. In some towns, they indicated that you could put housing on the medians, large medians, right? Because it's really just done from like an aerial. So our planner is going through the fine tooth comb, checking out, making sure all the properties the state has identified are actually properties that can be built or what have you. They're applying the vacant land adjustment which is in the prior rounds of COA, there's a number of different mechanisms by which the town modifies those numbers, which are relatively well established. They're not really arguable, as I mentioned before, that the arguing is kind of over. Windshield surveys, frequent land adjustments. There's a number of them listed specifically in the resolution that we adopted on the last meeting in January, which is on the borough's website as well. Because that was part of we had to publish it precisely for your reason. A lot of this was done like in litigation and the public didn't really know what's going on. So this at the new act, the fourth round, kind of flips that on its head. If you agree with what the basic formulas, then you just kind of skip to the end of the process of fair share. We're going through the deductions you're entitled to, publishing everything now up front instead of at the end. We don't know where that's going to land. It really depends on the planner's work at this point in time. The housing plan and element must be aired before the planning board and the land use board here, I should say, because it's merged. So there'll be a hearing there as well on the housing plan and element, just like any other aspect of the master plan. And I don't know what the final number will be, but there will definitely be a presentation on that and how the housing element essentially says how the borough is going to meet whatever that final number is. Some of the rules on what counts to meet that final number have changed in this fourth round with respect to group homes and types of treatment houses or disabled houses for disabled people. So the planner's taking all of those new rules into account. But yeah, I mean, your point's well taken. It was all done in litigation and executive session mostly in the past. The act has brought that right to the front. So we've already announced what we accepted, what we're doing, and it's all published. That's what the act, the new act required.
Can I just add one other thing? My understanding is that 64 number where they say that it's the current need and there's like all the substandard housing. I read those state documents and they say something about, well, their definition of substandard housing is housing without full kitchen facilities and housing without full bathroom facilities. And I can't think of any places in Bradley Beach that don't have like indoor plumbing and full bathrooms and kitchens. I mean, maybe one place I can think of one place, but that's about it. So is that like, I'm just wondering if that's the number we're gonna end up with, that 64 number, because I read those state documents, maybe I don't understand it, but it just seems like that doesn't apply here. I don't know. We don't have any houses like that.
We understand the documents to say that there should be money available in the trust fund in any town. That if a person who meets the income guidelines, and they're pretty high, I mean, we're not talking about very low income people, we're talking about moderate income people too. That if they need a loan or something to fix up a house and they can't get it because they don't have enough money, the city should have enough money to be able to help a person replace the boiler, replace whatever it is. And, you know, that was what the Housing Trust Fund was created for 10 years ago.
No argument there, and we both know we don't have any money in that, but what I'm saying is, I thought the state was coming up to that 64 number by saying there's so many places that don't even have kitchen facilities, and I just don't know of any places like that.
So the new act requires the town to back that with the bond. And so that has been, I can't give you the details of that because, you know, one, I'm not the affordable housing attorney for the town. So when this presentation comes out, I'm sure I'll explain it all as well. But they may be recovering fees that we have not collected in the past as part of what we're doing here for our new round of compliance. So your elected officials have, I don't want to go into the details yet until we don't want to prejudice ourselves because right now we're in the window to get a potential objectors. However, the elected officials that you've elected are very well aware that they would need to back up that housing rehab, and they do have a plan so that doesn't fall on the taxpayers of Bradley Beach, which we'll be going forward with as well.
And when do we find out that plan?
After the objection deadline passes, that will be the housing plan element, and
is that the March deadline? You looked at that. Is that the March one?
I believe so. That's when we start doing it, and then they have to have public hearings. You have the list also.
Which one of those timeframes do we get to know as a public?
The June 30th date for adopting the binding resolution of the housing element and fair share plan. That is the plan that would explain how you would meet your.
Do we get to see the plan before it gets bound on us?
I believe so. I believe there's a hearing before the land use board. You can't adopt a housing element or it's part of the master
So
plan.
there should be a public hearing.
I believe. Look, I'm not the affordable housing official, don't quote me on this, but I believe
Who
we,
is the affordable housing official?
Wiener Law Group.
Yes, a law group, and they're gonna say that they can't reveal anything because they're a law group. Do we have a person in this town yet who is responsible to administer affordable housing?
Who's the municipal housing leader?
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't think one was assigned yet.
We don't have one yet.
So that's part of it as well.
When will that be decided?
By June, it's gotta be decided by June.
But that's when you're bound. Can the public participate in this process before we're bound?
I believe we will introduce an ordinance and it will go to the planning board for a hearing and then it will come back here for, I believe there were 2 hearings on the housing element.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Paula?
Paula Gavin, 106 Evergreen Avenue, but I'm here as a volunteer for the Bradley Beach Business and Community Alliance Board. And I'm proud to be accompanied by Sean Ryan from Fins, who's one of our 14 board members volunteering their time and energy. But what I want to do is to thank the mayor, the council, the staff, for a collaborative partnership that is really going to enhance our businesses, our residents, and our nonprofits. We're very proud of our 265 members, but we particularly want to thank the community for supporting our local businesses, for supporting each other, and supporting our nonprofits. So we do believe that a connected community is stronger together, and I'm really grateful on behalf of Sean and the other members of our board for the new memorandum of understanding. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you, Paula. Anybody else here have a question? Oh, Mr. Cohen?
Thomas J. Cohen, 612 Third Avenue. I would like to, I appreciate your comments, Mr. Doherty, on the corrective action plan. You nailed it, it's a pretty base document. It's the 2022 corrective action plan, which we didn't get in 2023. And we didn't get the benefit of it in 2024, but now we have it in 2025. So, I mean, it is such a basic document. Mr. Barrett did a good job, but I'm puzzled as to why this could not have been accomplished a lot sooner. I would recommend that every Bradley Beach resident read it for its simplicity. And then I would also like to address the affordable housing comment. I'm so excited that residents now want to come out and support affordable housing. The reason we don't have a trust fund is due to the administrative failures, Gary Ingstad and Larry Fox. We're not administering a document that was created in 2017 to create the fund, to build off the fund, so we would have the money now. And now everyone's worried about affordable housing. We should have a ton of money in that account to be able to assist our residents. And it's this continued administrative failure which has been put up with in the staff. So I'm really happy that other people are engaged, and I'll be happy to share. I stood at meetings of the planning board, I stood at meetings of the council, asking every time, where's the affordable housing component? Where's the, we were told, oh, no, we don't need one. Mayor Engelstad was on that planning board. Mayor Fox was on the planning boards. It should have been done. We should have gotten units at 301 Main. We should get units at Autotech. And this fund should be very strong, so we could actually do what we're supposed to. So I'm very excited that other residents now are excited about it, and I'm happy to share my emails to Fair Share Housing from 2017, requesting why these units weren't put in. They didn't care, but now they care. So it's a crazy system, but let's get it right this time. And I'd be happy to volunteer to be on any other committees regarding the affordable housing.
There's a different narrative Fair Share Housing will say about that.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
please do not speak unless you're at the podium.
What say about that?
Okay, let's not engage. We can talk, we can make a nice committee and everybody can talk nicely and politely to each other. Thank you. Erica, okay, we have one more question or a comment.
Yes, yes.
Oh, I'm gonna go to Brigitte. I'm sorry, I didn't see you, Eileen, so we'll go with Brigitte.
Can you hear me? Oh, I can't hear you. Okay, I think that's good.
State your name and address.
Hi, Brigitte McGuire, 610 Brindley Ave. I just wanted to ask a question regarding the back pay for the overtime of the beach employees that got passed tonight. Is that total situation now taken care of, or are we still needing to owe more employees?
So, yes, there's one additional employee. So I assume you looked at the resolution, Ms. McGuire?
I did, and I was just questioning because I remember back in 2022 when this was a huge issue with the $300,000 that was being questioned in the salaries and wages, that we were told by the BA at the time that that 300,000 was to pay a lot of this back pay overtime. And I realized it was only about $40,000 on that resolution tonight. So I'm just wondering if there's a lot more employees we owe, or, 300,000 and 40,000 is a big difference.
So there's 6 employees total. There are 5 who joined the litigation, who are part of the resolution. There's another who's owed a total of about 10,000, well, not about, it's $10,363 and some cents. And so the total cost to resolve this issue to the borough will be $50,363. And that takes care of that issue.
Okay.
I don't specifically recall the $300,000 being budgeted, but there was a lot of numbers thrown around over a lot of years, so forgive me.
Yeah, no, it was definitely just a point I was fixated on at the time, so but that's okay. I mean, it didn't cost us the 300.
I just want to give you the full answer so it's filed up. So it's 50 from the borough, it's $50,363. And then the joint insurance fund of the borough has agreed to pay $35,000 in attorney's fees to the employee's attorney as a part of the settlement. So that in full transparency with the public, that's the settlement. It's $75,000 to settle litigation, and another $10,363 to another employee that was not part of the lawsuit, but obviously still has a claim at this moment that we'll be cleaning that up as well.
Okay, thanks so much. I'm glad that was all finally settled with them. Thank you.
Problem.
Eileen? Thank you, Brigitte.
Just a quick thank you.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. If you want to just do a quick thank you, go ahead.
I just want to thank you. I can just only imagine how much work the council has done to get us to this point. And thank you. It's just refreshing.
Thank you, and I appreciate the thanks. It means a lot to us, and we all have been working very hard.
Obviously, it's very apparent. You're working 24/7, and it seems as though you're working harmoniously.
It's, believe me, I know it's my honor. I'm sure it's everyone's honor to be here. And as our council, our mayor says, we're proudly serving our residents, and we're proud to be here too.
It's obvious.
Thank you. And, oh, Nancy, yes, I'm sorry.
I don't have to go. I'll underscore what she said about your work and all you've accomplished in less than 2 months. But Brigitte brought something up and how my brain goes every time.
If you don't mind, if you're gonna just come to the podium, then if you're gonna talk about.
We talk about payroll, so let's figure.
And just say your name, I love.
Ocean Park Condominium Association.
Thank you.
So when we talk about payroll, we know where my brain goes. So those figures that you mentioned, is this a correct statement? That is the money that is going to the employees. It does not address any payroll taxes or other taxes that are due on those wages.
I believe it's the gross, and I think we're paying it through payroll. I think we're issuing, that will be taken care of for the employees, whether we issue it through payroll or they get a 1099, it will be accounted for.
Right, but if it goes, I'm just saying that there's payroll taxes.
Yes.
Which we, like any other business, pay our portion. So that figure is not the only figure, it's not the final figure from the borough of Bradley Beach. There will be additional figures to pay. Is that correct?
I have to ask the CFO specifically, there maybe there's employer side payroll when we process that? Do you know, Matt?
1.65% match.
Their gross wages.
This is their gross wages.
So we go still on social security, Medicare, unemployment, disability.
But remember, these are wages that they were owed
Oh, I'm not
years
denying,
ago.
I'm not denying that.
So.
It's really up to the employee. This is a settlement, so I'm not actually sure how we're paying them. I mean, remember, they brought more claims than just the payroll once it became a lawsuit. So there was discrimination claims. So to the extent that the employee, it's up to them to pay their taxes, right? I mean, I don't know how we're paying them, if it's compensatory or if it's gonna be paid as though the wages were supposed to be paid originally. I'm not entirely sure about that, but suffice to say that the employees will be responsible for filing.
Well, I'm not concerned with the taxes that they pay, I'm concerned with the matching portions that we as the business would pay.
It's encumbered at 53,363, so that's all inclusive, but that's what we're paying. That's the bottom line number that comes out of the budget. But you'll see more payrolls, Ms. Bennett, more payroll problems being resolved coming soon.
That's a whole other discussion.
You've been discussing it for a long time, so I thought you'd want to know.
Anybody else? So before I make a motion to go into executive session, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your questions, your comments, your concerns. We work for you and we're always open for those questions. Don't feel you have to wait till this meeting. You can call Matt, you can call any of us and we'll work things out. And please keep Al and his family in your prayers and your thoughts, and I'll keep everyone updated as we hear progress on their healing. And I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session.
Second.
To discuss what?
Oh, local 152 negotiations, more good news, thank you.
Ms. Noble?
Some people don't like it, I don't be saying it.
This is true, yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi, excused.
All right. Thinking about that.